from competition and take a step forward with community. And if they do that, I think we all win, because community, I would argue, is the one thing that no one's trying to solve. We're trying to solve recruitment. We're trying to solve competition. Tell me, where's community? Honestly, any one of you, go ahead. Shout out what's the national community for Scholastic right now. Any title, tell me.
Yeah.
Where do I go? How do I meet and hang out?
Of the storm. Community, zero.
There's nothing. It doesn't exist anymore. And it doesn't exist statewide. It doesn't exist school-wide. It doesn't exist region-wide. It doesn't exist nationally. It doesn't exist digitally on Twitch. It doesn't exist digitally on Discord. It doesn't exist through any form of skill-based development. It doesn't exist on any form of, skill-based learning, or just pure socialization and fandom. Huge missed opportunity. You want to take their time and make it more efficient. In my opinion, tell Riot Scholastic politely to stop what they're doing with competitive, and their integration with LCS should be, Twitch, symposiums and summits and conversations and learning and all sorts of wonderful things, and promoting camps and educational learning activities and RSSA sponsored curriculum. That will move the needle. I don't see any of that.
So Chris, that was pretty much the last topic. You kind of wrapped it in a nice package called community. And I was kind of thinking more from an organizer and a broadcaster point of view around growing fandom. And how do we get fandom around collegiate esports to look more like traditional sports across the board? And, that helps us go out and sell sponsorships in the place, of which trickles down to all our member schools that we represent. But when we go to brands and we can't check that box of, 1 billion impressions and 1 million views, we still are challenged with selling those sponsorships. So my last and final is, do we have any secrets around how to grow fandom or grow community let's just start with on campus?
I got the big one real quick.
Okay.
Best way to grow community: food nights. It has nothing to do with playing the game. I'll give you a real life example. We used to do dollar burger night at the University of Cincinnati. We'd just go out to Bar Louie. We used to have dollar burgers every Wednesday. We'd post in at this time it was Facebook groups, tell people where to show up. 6 people, 12 people showed up the first week. By the third month, we had 40 plus people coming. And it was the biggest revenue night of the week for Bar Louie every week, purely because of us. But we had friendships, we had relationships, we had roommates, we had all sorts of great, wonderful things come from that. And that translated to our LANs, our club meetings, and everything from that. It was nothing beats food nights.
Just like pro sports, we need to focus on tribalism. And the way that you create tribalism is you have to prioritize in-person experience, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of companies trying to become unicorn online platforms, but at the end of the day, I think we need pockets and hubs around the country that serve as regional and local hubs. Once you get a group of people together that share.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Week 4 of the ECAC Division A, where we are set to watch the showdown between Oakland University and Missouri Baptist University. I'm Horizon alongside me is Soph Chan. And Soph, I'm really excited to see both these teams play, considering that they're actually really, really close in the standings.
Yes, that's very true. I think we talked about earlier how one of these teams had a bye earlier in the season. So they're pretty close, and this match is going to give them a little bit of an advantage to whoever wins. So yes, definitely super exciting when we have this close of a matchup going on.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting, too, is to see how these teams have adapted to the patch, because obviously a couple of noticeable nerfs came out to some of the top lane champions and have kind of changed the way that the game plays a little bit. So we'll see if these guys have actually had any time to kind of get some practice in on it. I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts about some of the champions that we can kind of expect to see given the way the meta is right now.
I know that we have been seeing recently a lot of Ornn and Maokai, actually, when we're talking about collegiate, at least, since we have some experience here and there. So I've seen a lot of that in the top lane. Since you mentioned the champions that they got enough, I believe that we could also see. So we have the Maokai on. I don't know. These have just been so consistent overall. What do you think would be like a little bit of a difference coming into these games?
One of the champions I'd like to see a little bit of the Jace. Obviously, we've too. In fact, there is a notable team that just qualified for semifinals that just played a Jace game. It didn't go so well for them. Zeus from T1 getting targeted a little bit in that top lane. But this is a champion that's really strong, especially when you're looking into certain champions like Aatrox or Camille or some of these other duelist top lanes that you want to try and survive. Just you see something like that. Kennan's another one that got buffed very recently. But I think, like as you kind of highlighted, some of these staple champions that we've seen a lot just over the last several months are still going to be strong. Fully expect to see Maokai. I expect to see Sejuani, and then we'll see a lot of those mid lane mages that we've seen for a while. So we'll have to see what these two teams want to draft when it comes to this best of 3.
Yeah, definitely. And since you mentioned a couple of those mid laners as well, I think sometimes we have seen as well some Seraphine that might be going for not only mid sometimes, but as an APC on bottom lane or going as well for support. So I think there's a lot of possibilities that can be going down at this point. If we have a look at the pool of champions that these teams have right now for Oakland in the bot lane, for example, I know we see a Renata Glass there with a very high win rate in Bello. I think we could see as well a Nautilus, always a safe bet. Karma as well. Do you think there's anything that might stand out that is not in this pool?
I think one of the picks that we're kind of missing too when you look at support is the Amumu. This is a champion that hasn't really been nerfed at all. I would really like to see this in a combination with Misfortune. It's really safe. It just gives you great damage, gets you decent push. In a team fighting, it can be a little risky just because she is immobile, so she's got to stand and go pew 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 and kind of hope for the best. And you're just hoping there's not an Akali waiting over the wall to kill you. But I think this is a champion we can see a lot more of. And again, when you kind of look at the pool here from Missouri, I mean, if you're looking at the ADCs, it got Kog'Maw, Ezreal, Kalista. Kog'Maw obviously going to be immobile himself, but picks like Ezreal and Kalista, and even Kai'Sa to some degree, Lucian as well. Those are all champions that are still really, really strong.
Yes, and as you mentioned here in the bot lane, you talked about Misfortune there. I think comboing with the Sejuani you mentioned as well, alongside Amumu, could be a super great pick for a comp overall in this scenario. If we have a look as well at Caitlyn, has been so consistent all throughout, I think collegiate and pro play as well. So that might be a pick if we're talking about Cheese Jazz on the side of Oakland University. I think, I don't know, in regards to the meta itself, it doesn't feel as of a big of a variety as we have seen in the past. I think it just feels very restricted right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think if you're not drafting a lot of team fighting, if you aren't drafting quite a lot of flexibility in how you can approach the game, I think you see teams, especially in the collegiate league, where their champion pools are a little bit more limited and they don't necessarily have a pool like a semi-professional, professional player. They can get in a little bit of trouble. But I think that's not something we're going to have to be too worried about with these two teams because they seem to have pretty deep drafts. And as we're getting on into the picks and bans, a couple of champions we'd already start to see taken away. Udyr's going to hit the ban board. Hecarim, Camille, Misfortune, Kha'Zix. So, trying to figure out, I think the first game is kind of an intro even for both teams just to figure out what both teams want to try and get on the board.
Yes, definitely. And I think those are all very safe picks in regards to jungle, in regards to top lane there, as you mentioned, Camille, Misfortune in the bot lane too. So I think that's really nice. If we're talking about bot lane, it would be so safe to just have the Caitlyn once again, as we have seen so consistently. I'd love to see that Sejuani you mentioned.
Yes.
Either in the jungle or in the top lane. I think it would work super well. And, well, there it is.
There's the Maokai.
The one thing that Collegiate has been picking over and over and over is the Maokai in the top lane, and sometimes even in the jungle. So we'll see how that's going to be played out.
Yeah, I do like that it's a flex. Some things never change. Death, taxes, and Maokai in this meta just doesn't seem to go away. It has been a great pick, but I like the Sejuani answer there. So Oakland, again, giving themselves some flexibility. Sejuani can go jungle. She can go in the top lane. So I think this is interesting from Oakland, too, because now that they have the last pick, because Missouri first picked the Maokai, that means that they can kind of wait until the last second and see whether or not they get a favorable matchup. So it'd be very interesting to see if maybe they have a top lane pick that they favor if they maybe think that the Maokai is going to go in that lane.
Yes, definitely. And they decide to go for the Ezreal as a bot laner there for Oakland. Super safe, of course. The most mobile ADC in the game. That's going to be a matchup versus Varus and the Tom Kench there. Is Tom Kench still playing support?
He's still there. You know, despite Riot's attempts, they have tried to bench the Kench, but you know, it just every time you get to this part of the year, the dadgum frog just seems to make his way back in there. I love it. Additional safety for the Varus. It makes sense. And it's one of the better supports that they could have drafted for him.
Oh yes,
no, not Yumi.
No, why does every cast I work with just hate Yumi?
This
it's
champion's
perfect
so
with Ezreal. Come on.
Oh, she's so unbalanced. I mean, listen, if you've seen the gold graphs from Worlds, this champion does more damage than a mid laner. How is that balanced? But obviously, Oakland, they're going to be very happy to pick themselves up the cat on a book. It makes a lot of sense. You keep, you keep that Yumi safe in addition to keep the Ezreal safe because, you don't have to worry about it getting attached if no one can hit your ADC. So great pick there. Interested to see what the final ban's going to be too. Now that I have to get over my never-ending disappointment of Yumi getting picked, my disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined. Since you're going to hit the ban board, I love that. This is a champion that did get buffed. 50% HP execute at the late game is going to be a pretty nice thing to not have to play against.
Yes, definitely. And to be fair, I think at this point it would have been better for them in Oakland to have Syndra because of the Maokai, because of the Tom Kench there, so the execute would be perfect. So they decided to just stay safe and bend that, of course, not only for the enemy, but also for themselves. We have a Ziggs coming on too. I think, yeah, that's okay.
Not a ban you would have expected. It definitely feels like they're trying to single somebody out.
Yeah, let me have a look here. It doesn't look like any of the two teams have a super active Ziggs player, but yeah, I mean, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yeah. And the final ban is going to be coming through there. So top lane ban was the last ban from Oakland, and then Seraphine taken off the board from Missouri. I like this Gnar pick here too. I think you can get yourself some more engaged, but that does mean they're going to be lacking a little bit in damage. So I fully expect to see them get a really good counter pick in the mid lane. So obviously a couple of really big champions still up. Sylas, Victor, Akali, all those champions provide a lot of damage. They're really flexible. Would be interesting to see how Oakland's going to go. When you talk about the Sylas, man, there are actually some really good ultimates on the side of Oakland to go ahead and steal.
Oh, yes, there are. You can go for engages on knocking people over the wall, onto the wall with the Gnar ulti, or just throwing the book on everybody's faces with Yumi, the snipe with Ezreal, or just the freezing damage with Sejuani there. So I think that's perfect, to be fair. Oakland, as you said, would have been a good pick for them, but Tiny Dolphin goes for that one themselves. I think actually it's going to be for Stoli in the mid lane, of course. And finally decided to go for a Kindred. I've seen some interesting Kindred gameplays recently. Not that super often, but I've seen it.
I'd be interested to see what they're actually going to pick with the Kindreds. The final seconds going to time out here on the draft. I want to see what this final pick will be from them. As we're going to get it. Oh, it's going to be the Casso. It's going to be the Wizard Lizard in the mid lane. Okay, so interesting answer to the team fight that Baptist have drafted. Thoughts on the Wizard Lizard?
I think it can work. I think it can definitely work, especially considering you have the Gnar, you have the Sejuani. I mean, to be fair, I really like it. Not on second thought. I think I really like it, Horizon.
Okay, so give us the tech. How does this Wizard Lizard play into the whole comp that Oakland has?
Yeah, so basically, I think that you have to wait for the other ultimates to be procced before you throw your Wizard Lizard ulti on them, before you turn them into stone. So you just wait for the long distance with Yumi, for example, just getting people out of position because they don't want to be in that range to be able to get rooted. So on top of that, you get WZAC right on the Sejuani, getting the stun on them and the freezing in the area. Get Jed 1 to throw that stone effect on everybody with Wizard Lizard, and then Cheese Jazz just knocking everybody on the wall, stunning them down, and getting the big damage going up, because I think it has to be gradually in regards to the range until we get to the closest range with Gnar.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement there. I love that phrase, just wizard litters. It's such a good little phrase to be able to
So
throw out
nice.
there. It's so nice. I think just to kind of then take the opposite side of this assignment, if you're looking at Missouri, there's a lot of really good things that they have going on. So you've got a lot of great zone control, team fighting. You have an extended duration of these team fights when you're looking at the Kindred Ultimate. So making sure that people can go into that golden stasis and they're not going to drop, which buys time for Tom Kinch to get devours on people. Obviously, Silas will have a smorgasbord of ultimates to steal from. Whatever your need happens to be, if you want some AP, you can go with the Castle ult and the Unstilled Spellbook there with Yumi. If you want to hit people from long range, you got Ezreal. Or if you just want some good old fashioned CC, you just grab Sejuani ultimate and you're good to go. And I think also they've drafted a lot of safety in this lineup too. Maokai's a great bridge gap, so make sure that you have a lot of agency throughout the entirety of the game. Is a really difficult champion to get to kill, especially when it gets items. So I think Missouri, I think they've got a very sensible, very safe comp to start with. I'm very interested to see how they navigate the very early stages of this game.
Yes, I think it's going to probably pan out towards the Kindred and the marks there. So wherever the Kindred mark is going to spawn, either it's on the top scuttle or the bottom scuttle, whenever the two junglers meet there, it's going to be the one thing that might start helping the comp for Missouri to scale and get the kills for the Varus, for the Silas, and be able to rotate to the other lanes. Of course, when we have Maokai on top lane, you have the Nada as well. It's always going to be just slaps here and there. Nothing to, it's just how top is, right?
Yeah, it's just a little island. You just leave him. They're like, okay, you guys loaded in. Okay, we'll see you in 15 minutes.
And what are you thinking in regards to the early game for Missouri, their Horizon? What do you think it's going to be their strategy to try and negate the damage on the other team?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things you highlighted there is that Kindred mark. I think for them, it's going to be so important to try and assist this Kindred in getting some of those early marks, because it does feel like if you can evade her, obviously the mark's going to be on the other side of the map, so it's going to be very risky depending on where the first scuttle, which one gets the mark. But I think making sure that she has the ability to go in there, get those marks, and get that late game scaling is going to be super important, because if you don't, Kindred really does suffer. But if you can't get her ahead, then she's worth all of her weight in gold and then more. And the attack damage she gets and the range she gets and just the sheer amount of carry power that this champion has. We don't see it a lot because it is very risky. But if the Baptist University, if they can get a win on this one, that gives them draft bet for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and MBU really does have a good comp to play around the Kindred, to play around the Varus there. They have the possibility of sealing or with Silas, which means variety, right? And then you have the safety with Maokai, the rooting from a distance with the Tom Kench, just getting people to safety or engaging into safety. And allowing for Kindred and Varus to be the damage dealers from a very, very long distance is going to be very crucial to them, because that's something I mentioned in regards to Oakland, right? How they have to engage going from, or if they go just straight on top and get a pick off, and that's going to be successful, or they just try to stack and chain the CC one after the other. But the problem is, if you don't pick off either the Kindred or the Varus like super fast, they have the possibility to maintain a team fight for so long, as you mentioned earlier, Horizon. So I think it's definitely going to be on that early game, on the Kindred mark, and whatever we're going to see to be able to get a nice prediction on how this game is going to develop.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think especially, too, if you look on the flip side of that matchup for the Ezreal, just making sure that you're pumping in the damage to these carriers. I think one of the things traditionally Ezreal does suffer from the beginning of the game, especially if you can shut this champion down early, if you can get a couple kills on him and make sure that he has to cower underneath his turret, is he does struggle to sort of tear through the front line. And the difference between, I think, what's big to note here, the front lines that both these teams have, is that Gnar is a situational front line. You have to have him in Mega Gnar for him to be able to tank that damage. Whereas Maokai, he's a big fat bumbly tree. He's always going to be able to soak damage, and he's very, very gold efficient in terms of the items he can build. So, Ezreal is really going to have to be on point and making sure that when the opportunity is available, they get the carries down. Because if you can kill the Kindred, if you can kill the Varus, and you leave Silas as this only damage source, then you start to see a lot of these team fights go the way of OU. But again, it's all about the execution.
Yeah, and not only that, I think if we compare the two ADCs here, we have Ezreal, as you said, they have to be able to do that damage from a distance and just, with the help of their team, knock Kindred or Varus like immediately, or else things can escalate to the worst of scenarios. But the fact is, Cheese Chaz has the mystic shot, right? It hits one person. If you're thinking about that poke, it's going to come from that and the eventual ultimate, right? Whereas Tiny Dolphin has that arrow piercing through the whole team every time, and especially since you said Quick Slice is a situational tank because of Magana, you only fall with WZAC, with Sejuani. So they can be a little behind in regards to that front line. So they have to grow super quick to get Ezreal on that tier stacking, on that Murmana, and everything just going on that side. Of course, with Below and Yuumi and the Zoomies just making the fight easier for them. But definitely, as we said from the start, it relies on a good early game that's going to be decisive. The first, second Drake, if they do it really fast, I think it's definitely reliant on that.
I'm in a full agreement with you there. The other thing I want to highlight very briefly before we get ready to get into this game is that Yuumi providing that healing. One of the great things about the comp that MBU has drafted is the fact that a lot of their champions actually have an efficient way to buy heal cut. So Ferdinand is going to be able to get that Thorn Mail. Varus can build any kind of Bloodthirster to get sustained. He can look to get an Executioner. Oblivion Orb on the Stylus, I think, is going to be very, very good. So they have a lot of ways to answer this and make sure that Yuumi doesn't get the actual full value of the healing, and making sure that no one's getting really long extended team fights, especially with Oak, as you're kind of, poking you over the wall.
Yes, exactly. And with what you said, like, you can have the Executioner with poking over the wall and just piercing people all throughout. So you deny anything or most of the value that the Yuumi can give to you. So she's going to have Zoom. She's going to make you a little faster, a little more on the movement speed side of things, but healing can be a little reduced. As we jump into the first game, MBU, Oakland University on the red side, MBU on the blue. Sochan and Horizon. Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready. I'm so ready. First cast together. I'm super excited about this. I'm super excited about this matchup too, because this is going to be a bigger match. I'm not even going to get time to get through it because Jad is going to be jumped on immediately. Those going to get a little bit of damage, a little bit of gold off that, but nobody fakes out. Nobody blows any ults for any important summoners. So Jad just going to be able to walk on out of that one.
Yeah. Let's have a look at what we have in regards to runes. Actually, to be fair, the way these things are rotating, we might be a little attentive to any sort of potential engaging. But I think that good. You're just going to be leashing now. We have deep ward coming from Oakland University on this blue buff here. On the other side, I don't think we have any. Oh yes, we do. We have the ward on the chickens there on the red side of the map. So both teams keeping a good eye to understand where the enemy jungle is going to be, Horizon, and that is super important, as we said, thinking that we have a Kindred in the game.
Yep. And speaking of getting some early damage down, slowly going to be able to do that one. I like that the fact that both of these teams actually know how important it is to be getting that early vision, as you highlighted. Being able to track those junglers is going to be super important in this game. And this is something that you see whenever you get to the higher elos, especially of collegiate matchups, where you see the macro is a lot cleaner. You see that these teams are a lot more patient, and they make the plays that you would expect high-level players to make. So I love that vision trading there. So one of the questions I want to ask you in this, because we're talking about these two jungler matchups, is, in your mind, how does OU try to leverage the early pressure that they're going to have with Sejuani just because she's an easier ganking champion? What lanes is it going to be super important for WZEC to try and gank?
I think it has to be close to the mid lane, as we have right now with Stoli going in on Jad 1. But the follow-up and the flash, getting the knock-up on Stoli. It's so close, but they're going to get out alive, escaping that first blood for Oakland University. Woo!
Yeah,
that was quick.
Great flash out there from WZEC. Make sure that he got the flash from Stoli, as he's going to have to run out of here. WZEC will be able to just go towards his Raptors. Not a great spot to back those. It's going to be the Ghost forced out from Jett, including the flash as well. Neverlove wants to chase him to the tower. Going to be taking a torch shot. Stoli. It's going to be first blood, but it gets traded instantly. A little bit of an overforce there, but the extra gold going into the pocket of You Never Loved Me.
yeah, I really, that sounded so funny. Well, so basically, I am very happy to see that, because what I was going to say is that I had expected the two junglers to go towards mid lane, and that's what happened. So, shout out to me. I don't know if I really completed a sentence.
It's cast a curse.
The engaging. I mean, maybe it was reverse Castle Curse at this point because I did get it right. So basically, what I wanted to say is that I think it's so important for these two junglers, WZAC and You Never Loved Me, to go towards mid lane because especially for Sejuani, you would need the help from Cassiopeia. And of course, you'd need the help from Silas as well to guarantee this, the two scuttles here. But at the end of the day, the two junglers are on the opposite side of the map. But WZAC is going for the cheeky steal on the blue buff, while You Never Loved Me is still scouting around the area to get a kill on Jed1.
Yep. It's going to get spotted on the vision, though, so there shouldn't be too much of a chance there. As you highlighted, too, getting those summoners out early in the mid lane is going to be super important, so that cast is going to be super gankable, especially if you can land a CC from the Silas and make sure that you get that damage down. And then, obviously, having access to that first stack, getting that first scuttle with the mark on is going to be very nice for You Never Left Me, so continue to watch him. I think it'd be very important on how they continue to stack stacks, but that's going to be the free one gone, so you're not really going to be able to get too much easy ones out of that one. Is WZAC in the top lane. Ferdinand wants to try and get out of this one, though. Has access to the flash, but he's on the wrong side of this matchup, and Quick Slice going to go ahead and knock down a very quick kill.
Yeah,
Volley trading
positioning
too.
From WZAC, Alex. Would you look at that? Now it's turned into a 2v1 with
Ray
Young Hook being, well, not off the hook, but definitely there. So, You Never Loved Me is going to try to get something here, but the wave is really massive, Horizon. I don't know what the game did he do about this one.
They can look to try and trade this one, but that's going to be the Ezreal going down first, and now Bella's going to be caught on the wrong end. Manages to escape, though. Jade did crash, but they've been followed by Stoli. What else can they get? You Never Loved Me. He wants to try and get to this one. Conqueror procced, but they will walk away, so ultimately a 1-for-2 trade to the bot lane. OU, they're going to be happy with that one.
Yes, definitely happy with that. They have double the kills at this point, Horizon. And what I was going to say is that if we're talking about vision, we have Oakland University having many, many more wards in a deep positioning here, but,
Jade,
well, You Never Loved Me doesn't even care about that. It's going for J1.
Well, manages to live with a sliver of health. It didn't quite have the last damage on the auto attack, but that snake just trying to stay underneath the turret. He just wants to farm, but they're not going to let the Wizard Lizard get too strong too quickly.
Yes, they are not. Well, Jed1 knows they don't have any summoners at this point, so they were still cautious. In a bad position, but still a little bit cautious, and they were able to escape this one. But basically what I was saying in Horizon is that the lack of vision that MBU had on that top lane granted a kill for Maokai and You Never Loved Me on that one. So in regards to macro, it's looking like OU has the upper hand at this point.
Yeah. It's a small gold lead for them right now for OU. Obviously, the kill lead is going to feel pretty nice, and it's going to be WZAC waiting here in this bot lane. They won't be able to get too much. It's going to be the Glacier Prison committed to that. They're going to try and knock down the Frog, but he's got a little bit too much health. The Gray Health going to keep him alive for a little bit, so WZAC will just walk out of there. They can look to start off the Dragon anytime he wants to because of the bot lane pressure that they have gotten for themselves.
Yes, it's true. Oh, we still have, actually, Varus in the lead in regards to CS on that bot lane, so... yeah, I wouldn't say that they would go for a Drake right now because the bot lane is not pushing that much. And as we mentioned before, with the power of the piercing arrow from Varus, it's going to be better to push out that lane and deny any possibility of Oakland University to get their shoving going and redirect for the Drake. So I think they're still going to be a little cautious about it because You Never Loved Me is stealing all that top side of the red jungle.
We'll look to try, and it has, actually already has collected that mark on the Raptor camp, so we'll be very happy to that. WZAC, yeah, he's going to walk it up here and realize that it's not gone away, and now this is going to be the reverse situation as Quick Slice, he wants to try and get out of here. There's going to be the ghost popped there. They will get him underneath the tower. Don't have to commit too much for it other than that summoner. So yeah, nice trade back at the top lane, and You Never Left Me 3-1 and 0. This is exactly what you want if you're MBU.
Yes, indeed. WZAC is trying to get here to help at least cleaning this, making a little bit of presence. No TP for a Quick Slice thus far, so they're going to get that way for themselves, guarantee that it's not going to be pushed any further. But
so if I do have go ahead.
Yeah. No,
I was going to say, I did have a little bit of a complaint with the sort of the pathing that's going on here. So obviously with You Never Left being in that top side, I was getting all those camps. I am a little disappointed that WZAC didn't try and go start off that Dragon given the pressure they had there, knowing that the Kindred was going to be towards that top side, because they knew the bot camps were clear. So I think a little bit less priority being put on the neutral objectives for both these teams, instead trying to track each other and keep certain carries down. But I'd like to see both these teams adjust and try and make a play there, especially as we get close to the 10-minute mark. You're going to see some of these items come online and start to see a little bit pressure being put on on those neutral objectives.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Horizon. To be fair, what I was going to say is exactly that. I was going to ask you, what was your opinion on
WZek! He gets
Oh,
the ulti, he
Glacier
predicts
Prison!
it, but it's going to be the flash over the wall. They managed to get it. They commit 2 ultis, don't get anything out of it. It looks bad there for a second. Slowly stepped right into the ultimate, but yeah, now that they force him out of this lane, this will just be the Herald start for for OU.
Yeah, so, and this is a direct relation to what you said, because you didn't have You Never Loved Me going for the early rotation on the Drake beforehand. They guarantee this top buff, but good to see that the trade is going to be equal, because now they have the Drake a little later than we would have liked, definitely, but it's going to be equalized nonetheless. But Oakland University is looking towards getting a lot of pressure and presence in this jungle with not only their positioning, but their deep warding as well, Horizon. So they're definitely looking confident.
Yeah, and look where they're standing too. They want to try and get Freelance if they can. He has to be very careful. Maokai's going to know that something's happening here because he's going to see all these camps cleared and knows that his jungler didn't take them. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, though, Cheese, Chaz, and Beblo, they're going to get zoned off the wave. So I'd like to see OU try and make a play up here, force something onto this Maokai, try and get those plates in response, maybe get a kill, and try and accelerate this game a little bit further to try and avoid having to fight You Never Loved Me on any of these sort of early to mid-game engagements.
And they look like they want to do this. They're going to get a couple of platings. Cassiopeia going around as well. And Horizon, this is all yours because,
Yep.
Actually, they disengaged.
That's going to be a twisting advance coming out. They're not going to be able to lock anybody up on that one. There's 4 here in this top side. Kindred would be slow to the play. Not going to be in the bot side, though. So I think OU, they kind of just want to peel off this one. They don't want to do too much. Look to maybe place a Herald somewhere in the mid now that you've drawn MBU offside. And just try and slow this down because right now the Kindred is really, really strong. That was a sub 10-minute Kraken Slayer. So if that is terrifying.
Oh my,
that is Jade is going to get caught here. That's going to be the Yumi ult coming out, but it's just going to be a kill given over. Not that he's going to be able to stop them, though, because they're going to be able to run this down. It's the Yumi ult to be traded. Sorry, the castle to traded right back. Bello not going to be able to go anywhere. His ride got canceled, and now he's going to hit the death chamber. And yeah, MBU, they're going to cut the rotation off. They're going to punish the lack of vision.
Yes, exactly, and that's what one of the things we've been talking about since the beginning of the game is how these two teams had been dealing with vision, and that costed them OU and their mid laner and their support there. So definitely going to be a good step for MBU at this point.
Uzek? They're trying to get underneath this turret. They're not going to be committing too much for that. They just want to make sure that they can zone him off. And MBU, I really like what they're doing right now. They're making sure that the Sejuani can't get out to any of these side lanes and can't get to any of the solo laners with it to play this Herald. So they're denying the potential return on the plate investment that they could have made. I don't think this will necessarily stop them right now, but it is delaying the play.
Yeah, I really like that as well. I was going to say that MBU was falling a little behind for me, but then with that play, just picking off mid laner and support, going for the pressure on the mid lane too, and guaranteeing, as you said, the deny on where Sejuani can drop that Herald was really, really nice for me. So I am liking how MBU is starting to turn this around, because at the end of the day, the only person that is really strong on that team is the Kindred. So they have to try to convert that into gold for the other lanes as well.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at the late game scaling of this, if you allow MBU to kind of slow this pace, if you're on the side of OU, this favors them very, very heavily, because Kindred is just going to continue to get stacks. She's going to continue to farm, get her scaling online. So for OU, you really need to start trying to pull this MBU comp across the map rather than letting it death ball. Obviously, you have a lot of ways that you can take team fights, especially if you can overload a matchup, get a man advantage, but that is so reliant on You Never Loved Me not being in those engagements as... Oh, Cheese Chaz, they don't know that You Never Loved Me is here. This is actually going to turn back on around them. It's going to be the Tompkins. Not be able to jump in, but WZ is here only to see the ADC fall. Now You Never Loved Me. He wants to chase this in. Access to the ultimate means they can go all the way underneath the tower. They're going to pick up 3 kills. And OU, they wanted that fight, but they didn't have the vision, and they get punished.
Oh, that was so clean, Horizon. The placement from You Never Loved Me with the vision, with being in the fog of war, that guaranteeing they 3 kills on this engage, taking down this turret, taking down so many platings, and as we said, converting the gold to the other lanes as well.
JD? Wants to try and get out of those, and that's going to be the ultimate committed. He will pick up 1, but just trades his life in the end. Was absolutely out of position there. You don't own that side of the jungle, my friend, and yeah, that's going to be a 4th kill, and they'll likely be able to get this tower as well. And Sejuani being forced to pop the Herald in the base, that will definitely not get any plate gold.
Yes, yes, will not. And this 1v1 here on the top lane. Oh, it was so close. And all of a sudden, the damage on Gnar was huge. But they just decided to disengage. It's not worth it to try to do anything right now. And the Herald is slowly marching towards the mid lane turret. But I don't think there's going to be much about it. To be fair, there's only Stoli here to protect
they're actually
this
gonna
one.
get plates.
Yeah, they're going to get platings, yeah.
Oh.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah, that Herald started so long. I was figuring that it was going to be a little too much of a long march to get there, but they do get something out of it. But they get those plates. So I spy something very, very scary on the side of MBU, and it's got 2 completed items.
Oh my god, you never loved me. Definitely loves MBU because they are performing super well in this one. Really, it's rotating towards them to be the one to make things look complete on the side of the blue team. And they're making it happen. They're getting the second Drake of the game. We thought that the Herald was going to get any platings. It did. So in regards to objectives, OU is a little behind, but not that much, as they're going to go for Maokai here on the top lane. 4 people actually. Horizon
wants to try and survive this one. The health of the turret is pretty low right now, but no access to the Neganar means that Quick Dance is going to have to jump out. He actually gets the kill on the 1v3, but they're not done yet, though. They definitely want to get something in OU. They need to make a play happen right now, but they're just not able to get anything. You Never Let Me is here. He has access to the ultimate. He's not scared of this damage in any way, shape, or form, so that turret is not going to fall. Jade will trade one of the bot lane, but he's going to have to run from Young Hook. Jade, the slither on the Wizard Lizard, just trying to make his way out of the mid lane. If he can survive right now, it would be worth for them just to stop some of the danger. Now he wants to try and turn back on a Young Hook, but it's level 8 though. Can't go underneath the turret. Conqueror is procced, wants to step too far, and now we'll just have to leave off because now the Kindred is here. Jade 1 has to beat a hasty retreat, and the Tompkins jumping to find him. Oh, what's he gets it with the tongue lash. Oh, Young Hook says, I don't need my team's help. I'll get you myself. And he's going to pick up quite a bit of gold. And yeah, you would have loved that gold to go towards the Kindred, but Tompkins will be so happy to pick that up.
Oh my god, Horizon, that was so clean. I loved it. Just going for that bush, staying there, and getting the tongue lash. Oh, that was amazing. But to be fair, as you said, it would have been nice to get Kindred the gold. Yes, of course. But rotating that into to the other players of the team, it's awesome. Because the Kindred is already 6-1-3, 600 gold bounty.
So scary.
It's huge.
She's got a completed Wit's End already just to make sure that any of that magic damage coming out from the Ezreal or the cast is not going to be able to kill her. So that gives her an additional time in these team fights to make sure that they can focus out a carry before she has to pop the ultimate. BU is here. They're going to face check. Jade's going to be the first to dry, and this one is going to be the Yumi ult committed, but she will just fall. It's going to be the snipe from Tiny Dolphin, and now OU, they have to try and see if they can salvage this one. The ult has come down from Kindred, trying to put up the damage. The Devourer's going to save the Kindred for a little bit longer, shielding. It's a double kill for Tiny Dolphins, and now they just have to run. OU run, because this is MBU's world, and you're just living in it.
Oh yeah, you're just living in it, and you're about to get expelled from this
Oh
one.
my word.
Quick slice. What? That's what we talked about. Situational tank. They don't really have a front line aside from WZAC, and that is showing.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get a lot out of this Herald play in the top lane so they're going to be able to get this one. They'll likely be able to get the second tier too if they can push this out. As Stoli is here, this is just going to be an easy play. A lot of gold going into the pockets of these carries, so this game is starting to get out of control for OU.
It really, really is. And I'm so happy to see how MBU turned this around, because I thought they were lacking in regards to vision, and now OU might be feeling a little bit destabilized, might be feeling a little bit panicky because they're not putting the wards themselves now. And I think it's the 3rd time in a row that MBU got many kills on OU because of the lack of vision.
WZAC gets the smite, so he at least gets to save his pride a little bit of making sure that he gets the buff, but they're not going to be able to get much more than that. And that speaks to the state of this game where MBU feels empowered to just not even have to offer a reset, just invade OU's jungle and just start denying away some of this gold, making sure that this loss, that this deficit that they're in right now feels even worse. And so right now, I mean, if you're OU, you've got to find a pick onto this Kindred if you can. Get the 600 gold shutdown. There's shutdowns available both on Stoli and Tiny Dolphins, but right now it just seems like they're losing control of every sector of the map.
Yes, it does look like so. Not only that, it feels like they might be feeling a little disoriented on where to go. To be fair, this play looks very risky and ballsy, going for the Kindred, as you said, so we'll see how this is going to play out.
3 people's here. Oh, that's going to be the Glacial Prison missing, and that's a huge ultimate going to be down. And now Ferdinand, he's here. He's going to have the flank on this one. They're going to be able to wrap up the Ezreal. He's not going to have the shift anymore. Wants to try and get a blast kill. There's 3 members here. What else can they get? You Never Loved Me is putting in the heartbreak damage into the members of OU, and they're going to lose a whole lot out of this one as the Dragon is starting at 58 seconds. It's a double kill for Tiny, and they're going to get everything they wanted more out of that play.
Oh, that was so nice, MBU. I think the follow-up was a greatest part, right, Horizon, because the way they were able to position onto... Quick
slice. He's running out of this Mega Dash. Stoli wants to jump back in one more. Oh, do it. He gets it with the Unleashed Chains. Oh, it's an ace. Oh, a delayed ace on that one, but that's a lot of damage. They're going to feel pretty good. And so if this game is starting to feel just a little bit over right now for OU.
It does. It's starting to look like it's falling apart for the red team, Horizon, but I was going to say, it felt so good to see MBU so confident to leave Silas on the top lane and just be sure that even though they have such a big Kindred in that game, basically the target is on that back. So whatever was going to happen was going to be on You Never Loved Me. And they played that super well, but unfortunately that only happened because of the whiff on the Glacial Prison. Because if that had hit, it would have been, at least the beginning of the team fight would have been for Oakland University. Unfortunately, it was MBU all the way, and well, they haven't been able to convert all that gold towards that team.
Yeah, for sure. And if that Glacial Prison, there's a world where you're able to actually burst out the Kindred before she can pop that ultimate. If you can burst her out before she, gets free of it. It doesn't have a lot of alacrity right now, so won't be denying any of the duration of the CC right now just because of what she has. The boots will help with that, though, just in terms of stun duration. But so if I have to ask, obviously you never want to call a game over before it's actually over because there's always a team. That's actually going to give us time to talk about this one. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and the first one's going to be, what percentage of chance do you give OU to come back in this game? And on that percentage what is it that they have to do to make the comeback happen?
Okay, I think they could be at a 40% chance to come back, okay?
Wow, you give them 40.
Yeah, I'm giving them 40 because I still feel that these players do really well, and I feel they have the potential to come back around. And one of the things that comes with being on top at this rate, it can make MBU a little too overconfident, but the Glacial Prison it's whiffs again.
Yeah, that's going to be another ultimate that WZX is going to wish he had picked. We're going to have to wait for the spectator bug. What a terrible time, but what a great picture to see as the ultimate coming down. Never Left Me, though, still has access to this. How do they play this out? Tiny Dolphins is waiting in the wings. As soon as the spectator delay catches up, we'll be right back in it. What a freeze frame to see. Young Hook wants to try and get away from it just to make sure that there's no follow-up. They're going to follow, though. Tiny Dolphins putting in the damage in the back. That's going to be the Kindred ulti. The Yumi's going to be down, and that's their survivability. And now, the MBU, they can just look to turn this. There's only going to be 2 members left, but not even that. It's a shutdown going over, but it's a consolation prize. Ace for Fertilizer. That's going to be the Baron going the way of MBU.
Yeah, and basically, while it was being paused, while we had the spectator delay there, I was thinking, the result of this team fight is going to show us what is the real percentage of OU being able to
So now let me re-ask the question. What percentage do you give them now?
10.
10. Okay, so 10% chance. How do they get back in it? They've just lost a team fight. They just lost the Baron. They're 3 dragons down. Their base is about to be sieged even more than it has been. What is it that they do? What's the miracle play for them to make?
I think the miracle play is, well, not that miracle to be fair. First, just hit the Glacial Prison. That's definitely going to help.
I'm with that first step.
Yep, absolutely. But unfortunately, with only 10% on their pocket, I think they rely on MBU making a mistake. I think it relies on MBU making a mistake and Oakland University getting the chain perfectly.
Yes.
On Varus, on the Kindred. Kindred doesn't have the bounty anymore, and they're going to go for this one on You Never Loved Me.
He doesn't have access to the ultimate, so he will drop this time. It's going to be the Twisting advantage just to try and lock a couple members up, but this is where OU could be strong, or maybe not, because Tiny Dolphin, he's throwing them some really big arrows into the side of OU, and OU, they stepped up. They wanted to try and get Vision on the next dragon. Not even if he was up. They just wanted to get something on the map, and they're going to get nothing but a quick trip back to the fountain, and this MBU, this could very well be the end of the game. Quick Slice is nowhere near to stop them.
Yeah, I don't think it was a great choice to get Quick Slice to be rotating there. If they want to go for the shutdowns on Varus, on the Kindred, they have to be outnumbering MBU, and that didn't happen. They have the Baron, they have the Inhibitor, that turret here on bottom. They're going to take the Nexus turrets there, and I don't think there's anything. Well, let's go down to 5% maybe now.
All right, Cotton, let's see if this one pays off, because that's an old football term. I like to use that whenever I can. But right now, it's looking like OU is just going to be shoved out with final. See the final battle. Glacial Prison finally hits. What else can they get out of it, though? It's going to be the Devourer to keep them safe. Ezreal ult going to miss as well. MBU, they're trying to back out of this one. OU, what else can they get? They're going to be slowed, knocked back. Just trying to kite this out. They are fairly held. They have not had time to reset after the first fight. Stoli trying to get around. OU, they just want to slowly chase this out. Meganar going to be expiring here very soon, though, so that means that their front line is going to be gone. You never let me is here now. He's going to have access to the ultimate. Twisting advance, and now they're going to turn this around. That's going to be Castle just to buy some time, but it'll only buy them a few precious seconds. MBU, they find it. There's going to be a double kill. It's going to be a complete team wipe. Teleported into the base, and MBU, they've won this first game.
Yes, they have. There's nothing they can do now. But what they can do is think about their draft for this next game. Think about what is going to be the first bans, what is going to be the way that they need to play this next game to be able to come with a reverse sweep on the best of 3. Well, every time I saw an opportunity for Oakland to come back, unfortunately they missed that chain that we were mentioning. They missed the chain of CC, they missed the chain of damage with Ezreal, with Cassiopeia there. So unfortunately, every time they had a teeny bit of chance to go back around, I personally loved the way they noticed that Kindred was not on the last fight, and they tried to go for it. But unfortunately, it took so long chasing those tanks that Kindred just, they can come back, and that's what they did. They came back, destroyed the fight, and the game was over.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that you can look at in that game, too, for MBU is now that they have shown that they can win in that Kindred game, shown that they can perform in that champion. That gives them so much draft threat going into the second games, and they performed in every aspect of what that comp needed to do. They played to their win conditions. They played very smart. Some of the early openings of the first couple of minutes looked sketchy, but they rallied very, very quickly. They calmed it down, got control of the game, and I think there was never really in a moment after the first 8 or 9 minutes that you thought that OU was really in control of the game.
Yeah, they were definitely not in control anymore. I'm not going to say that I don't think they still had like 40% or something like that, but I really relied on them getting good team fights, and that was not happening. Not only because Kindred was super strong and they were playing, and MBU was playing super well, but Oakland University was whiffing a lot of the main damage. So how can you try to do anything? And the problem is, every time they try to do that, they insist on going for the engage instead of being like, okay, we missed it, let's just back off. You know, just recognize you made a mistake, recognize that you don't have the potential to win this fight anymore, and be conscious about not only your power spikes, but definitely your limitations, because at that point they were so far behind. They had to be so conscious about their limitations, and unfortunately it didn't feel like that was the case. They were always going on fights when they were equally numbered or sometimes outnumbered, and that's not going to happen.
No. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to see what adjustments OU can make in this one. MBU now technically on match point. It is only a best of 3, so they're going to have to make some adjustments really quick. But you'll have to see how that second match is going to go. So don't go anywhere, because it's coming right up.
On their campus, they start to develop a bond around that. You can do that online, but it won't be nearly as effective. Professional esports is having this tribalism problem because it's the majority of it's online. It's resulted in fans following players more so than the teams. I mean, that's a pretty broad topic, though. Like, we're starting to see those trends in traditional sports as well start to occur. People will follow LeBron and specific players on different teams to wherever they are. But I think for collegiate specifically, schools need to create meaningful live experiences. And if we're talking explicitly about fandom, you have to make the students on your campus care about the team first. That's the biggest thing. Either you create a level of pride through community engagement, or through the team itself. At a lot of schools, the groundwork is there for this. Like, there are schools like UBC, Ohio State, with Buckeye Gaming Collective, that have clubs that number in the 2 to 3,000 range, right? So they have a base to begin with. At a school like Maryville, like we kind of developed it the opposite way. When I came in and started building our esports program, we had 3 kids in our esports club, and so we've kind of built the team, and then the club has followed, which is kind of the opposite for a lot of schools. But I think that we have to develop tribalism, and that starts with meaningful live events. And the more that these events, the longer that these events continue to be like only online, the less effective it is in creating that final goal.
Agreed. Doc, you wrap it up for us, please.
I would just say this: clubs ebb and flow based on their leadership. But if all students, all clubs, all groups are given regular and meaningful invitations to come in, use the space, create what you want out of this, then it will continue to thrive despite the change in leadership. I can just imagine that that Cincy student group with Chris heavy in the leadership there just being amazing. But there's not always someone with his skill set at the helm. So you just need to be open and look for opportunities to serve, even though it can be more difficult, especially in the scheduling of the space. I know a lot of people that don't like anybody else but the players they recruited to use their space. As much as we can, if we want to build community, we have to open the space to people that we wouldn't normally see in there and let them do the types of things that they want to do.
One more thing, so like on a national level though, if we want to raise the general viewership of all of collegiate esports and not just different pockets, that's a hard one because people watch esports to see people do stuff that they're better than them at, right? So naturally at the collegiate level, we're going to be at a lower level than pro. So it's hard to get people to watch for that reason. But what we can sell are narratives and storylines, matchup histories. And as we start to build a longer history of collegiate esports, I actually truly believe that some of the CLOL storylines are more rich than what exists in Academy and
100%.
and the LCS, but no one's really covering it. No one's really drilling down into it. No one's creating narrative content. So I think that that's the key to getting people to care about it. Like if there's a storyline, people attach themselves to it. Yeah.
I'll add one more thing before we end. The largest organizations on any university campus. This is a very blanket statement. Could be wrong for you. It's right for many. Campus ministry and Greek life are always the largest groups on campus. Why? It's because of the concept of family. Let me explain. With a club or a program, many people identify, oh, I am a gamer, but I am also A, B, C. And usually it's I am A, B, C, and I'm also a gamer. Not everyone is a gamer first and foremost. And you're only going to capture that population if you're promoting purely competitive and purely esports. And so I said food nights and social activities. I'm really stealing from campus ministry and Greek life because what you want to do to build community at your school is to make it so that the thing that you're doing is the number one thing in the students' lives. Now that's a very selfish thing to say, but it's a true statement. For you to grow the largest community, your community needs to feel that the thing that they're a part of is the most important part of their social campus experience. That's why Greek life is so successful. That's why campus ministry is so successful. And when you treat esports as a program of just competition, practice, and development, that's an outlet. That's not a way of life. Not for at scale. Not when 55% of the campus body at a Division I school identifies as a gamer in some way, shape, or form. You're not going to touch that 55%. You're going to touch 5%, maybe. You're probably going to touch 0.05% or 0.5% at a Division I school. And so what you really need to do is build that community authentically by, as Doc said about Dan, what are the people prioritizing, and do that. And how do they enjoy their life? What would they find meaningful? Do that. and then do everything else, because the financials and everything else, the planning and all that matters too. And that's why we have a talent problem in Scholastic Esports. But I will wrap up and say, for the national level, Dan's completely right on narrative. But I'm not worried about that, because the only thing we need to build community nationwide is just time. Mm-hmm. We are 2 generations away from critical mass. And all it takes is that the current generation of students to grow up, get in the professional workforce, and have kids and raise them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Analyst Desk, as we are getting ready to gear into game number 2. The players are actually a little bit impatient, so we're just going to take straight on into it. We don't have any time to discuss anything. The only thing we can say is we were behind the scenes saying, don't ban Ziggs again and don't let Kendra get picked.
That's the one. That's the one. They started off going for Misfortune, the Udyr again, so nothing different. Yeah, Camille, same old.
Don't you ban that Ziggs again. You ban it.
Oh, there
Kindred,
it is.
Yeah, there's the adaption. Kindred banned off the bench. So now that Kindred's gone, what else do we think is going to take the place? Do we expect something a little bit more meta, or is there maybe a pocket pick that kind of fits in the meta right now that maybe people don't know about? We're not even going to get to answer the question. It's just going to be Hecarim.
It's just going to be Hecarim. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's mobile. I'll give you that. I think it's decent setup depending on what you draft with it. I don't like the Jarvan into the Hecarim at all. I think there's decent chances to invade it early, but I think Jarvan has 2 main weaknesses. If they do lock that in, I'll talk about them in just a minute. But I do like the Viego a lot more. Gives them a lot more dueling power. Gives them the chance to steal some really interesting champion setups. So I think good adaptation from Oakland.
Yes, me too. When I saw the Jarvan, I was like, but then yeah, Viego definitely so much better. Oh, pairing that with Aphelios as well. We got a whole bunch of, definitely not the most recent of champions, but definitely recent if we're talking about Misfortune, if we're talking about Udyr, if we're talking about Hecarim, all of these champions. So, yeah, okay, I like him. Oakland, I think that's different. I think that's innovative, considering that the last game was definitely not the best for you. It wasn't super bad at the beginning, but the snowball was there from the start. Okay, Renata, I believe it's one of the mains for their support, so check it out.
It's also a denial away from Bella to make sure that they don't get that Aphelios Renata synergy, so I do like that to make sure that you have to force Bella onto something a little bit more risky. Obviously, the Yumi's still available, so they can look to lock that in, but they do still have a number of engaged supports, Amumu, Leona, Nautilus, all those things are fairly stock standard. They can keep Aphelios fairly healthy, even the Lulu if you wanted to index into Enchanter versus Enchanter, but I think Missouri right now, given the comp they've already gotten just in these 3 pieces, I really like what they've drafted, as it's going to be the Zilean lock-in for Oakland.
Well, it's a choice. Is that going to be mid? Is that going to be support? Is it
Yeah, it will really depend on what they want to try and get in 4-5 here. I mean, it is a flex technically. It does have a lot of safety in the mid lane. It gives you some additional survivability. You can use the Zilean ulti to make sure that one of your big carries, kind of lives, and you can buy Zonias for yourself and just kind of stall out these team fights. But it does mean that you're a little bit lacking in some of the engage that you have and some of the damage, because Zilean Bomb, not really that most reliable form of CC.
Definitely not. To be relying on one thing that has to stack on the other. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, do we have a little flashback going on? One thing that has to chain on the other, and that didn't go really well for Oakland in the last game. So that
there doesn't seem to be any recent of those things that happened to just come into memory. I don't think I saw anything like that very recently.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm in total agreement with you. So I fully expect Oakland now. They're going to have to get themselves some reliable CC. They need to get a top laner that has a lot of a good lockdown. They need to get a support that has a lot of lockdown. So really looking to see maybe something like Leona Nautilus. I think the Zilean is good in the mid lane so long as it goes there. As it's going to be the Ziggs ban again. So this must be a target towards Jade 1. They definitely don't want him to have any kind of comfort. As I do like the Silas pick up here. So already you have some good ultimates on Missouri that you can steal. This is going to be Cassidy and Hover there though. Ooh, I really like this champion if they can force that into the mid lane, which it is going to go to. So that means that Zilean is going into that support role.
Yes, definitely. I would love Leona and Nautilus, as you said. And to be fair, when we were thinking about top laner, we were still thinking about top laner.
Kled?
I was thinking about Ornn, and then they banned Ornn. Oh,
Yeah, that's going to be a Clinton pick for the top lane there. I'm really interested to see how they want to play this round because Missouri, this whole comp just screams one thing, and it's run at you, run at you, run at you. You've got Hecarim, you've got Kled, you've got Cassidy. You have so much lockdown potential. You can't run for them, but this is the hover. This is the Jace that we were talking about at the beginning. Hovering a bunch of stuff here. I would really like to see Jace potentially in this top lane, especially into the Kled, but no, they're just going to play it safe. They're going to give themselves some more CC. They're going to put Quick Slice on that Maokai.
On that, Maokai. At least it still made sense with what you were saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but definitely, yeah, Maokai, from the champions that were being hovered, the best pick, I would say by far. Interesting to see the Kled. Nice on the Kassadin there. As you said, it's a comp that's supposed to go on you and just make you disappear as fast as they can, or just basically run you down, get the pickoffs, while Oakland is trying to go for, especially with the Maokai there, have a little more. Once again, they only have one option for a more tanky front line.
Yeah, my one concern right now, again, when we're looking about that Maokai, is it is a little bit more consistent front line that they have, but if you're looking at the damage profile that Missouri has, they have a good spread, so they're not having indexing too heavily any kind of magic damage, or physical damage. They have a lot of ways to start off fights. The big thing that's scary for me is this Caston. Yes, you have a Silas going into it, but the Caston ulti is not a great steal for Silas, and this is a champion that, like Kale, once he reaches level 14, he becomes extremely dangerous in a lot of team fights that you can never lane against this champion if he gets ahead.
Yes, exactly. And it's not like we're talking about hyper carries or something like that, where you have to wait mid to late game to think about recovering from being a little bit behind. As you said, it's level 14. Level 14 doesn't take that long when we're talking about mid game. So it's going to be something that is going to happen, period, because it's relying on experience and not reliable on the gold to finish those items. Of course, it's going to be one thing connected to the other, but totally to be able to do the damage. But Sterling on that Castle, I am excited to see how that's going to be played out, because paired with the Hecarim and paired with the amazing job that Tiny Dolphin had on that Varus, I think they can build incredible team fights, just melt people out, or as I said, just get those pickoffs, people that are a little bit out of position. Once again, it's going to be very heavy, the necessity of vision throughout the map. It's always something that you gotta have that pink ward in your bag. It's always gotta be there. And be sure to get not only the vision on your jungle, but get that deep vision as well, which was something that I felt like Oakland was falling a little behind when they felt they were a little bit ahead. They said, yes, we're fine. We don't need to keep that pressure again. So that's when they started falling behind, because of the opportunities Missouri Baptist grew on top of that.
Yeah. One of the things that I do want to highlight there, we talking about, ward saving lives and things could be a little spooky. I do like this mid jungle duo here from the side of Oakland. I think that Viego and Silas gives you a tremendous amount of options. We talked about flexibility. Yeah. Well, that's about as much flexibility as you're going to get, because both these guys are going to be stealing abilities left and right. They kind of do opposite things. One guy only steals one ability, but it's the most important. And then one guy steals the whole kit, and combined it ends up working out. And when you're looking at some of the kits that he can steal, especially between Kassadin and Hecarim and even potentially Kled, there's a lot to work with there that he can get a lot of resets for. So the team fighting, a lot of the pickoff potential is really high for Oakland. They have a lot of great damage. They have pretty great scaling. I mean, Aphelios, I think you just have to favor over the Varus in the late game team fights, just because this champion is so oppressive. He can hit you from what seems like a whole map away, and you really don't have a way to run from him in a fight. And then obviously he's going to have a lot of safety with the Zillion, so that's going to be even better for him, to where he can look to kind of delay some defensive itemization until much farther in the game, and he can just focus on getting damage. So I'm really interested to see how Oakland plays off on that. The one thing is, though, we talk about execution making all things equal. This comp definitely a little bit harder to pull off, because they only really have one reliable form of CC, and that's the Maokai.
Yeah. And as you said, the double bomb from Zillion is not going to be that reliable, especially since you have Kassadin with the ability of just dashing away, Kled as well with that hacker and being able to just run super fast. So it's going to be maybe a situation of having WZAC, Jed1 going for that pressure on, of course, the mid lane, guaranteeing that then rotating for the bottom path. So maybe we're going to have that gank on the bot lane early on to guarantee the first Drake or something like that. Get Cheese Jazz ahead, even if just for a kill, even if just for one assist. So I think it might be going towards there. Once again, we just have a slapping yourselves on the top lane. Just leave them there. It's fine. Whenever you want to rotate for Herald, yeah, just say hi, you know. But
Yeah.
aside from that, it's definitely going to be a more bot lane focused game. And if they can get, as you said, the advantage on Stoli before the Kassadin can get to those levels, it's going to be crucial to make that comp work.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think is going to be important to highlight too is kind of we talked about the flexibility, but I think just the straightforward team fighting that Missouri have, you can just run at these champions. You have a lot of great damage. At some point you're going to see, the Zillion Cass interaction where Zillion's like, I'm going to double bomb you. Then Cass is like, cool story, bro. I'm behind you. And then it's just like, and he's there behind you. And you're like, you're not really sure where to go. And like, oh no, Cass is on top of my carry. So it's really going to be the early game, kind of focus, I think, for me in terms of Oakland to make sure that they secure the late game scaling and make sure that they have a way to fight the Cass. And I would love to see them try and invade Missouri as early as possible. Hecarim is a champion that does not like to get invaded. He's one of the few champions that can't really reset off that. If you can deny him a couple of his camps, if you can deny him a buff, he does fall behind, and it takes a while for him to get back in the swing of things, and it does slow down his ganking potential. So interested to see how Oakland will play that out. So bigger picture then for both these two teams in terms of how they play the early game, not just in the jungle, but the bigger picture. How do you see it playing out?
Okay, so bigger picture. I was actually thinking about a couple of things in regards to the minor picture in regards to those.
No, go ahead.
Let's
show us what that is.
Yeah, so I was thinking, not only getting the pressure on the invade from Viego on Hecarim, as you said, is going to be so great if they can pull that off with no casualties. And on top of that, if they can get Stoli locked on the tower and get Jed 1 to also try to steal the chickens or something like that around the area to really, really deny Hecarim any of the XP would be essential for Oakland to guarantee the better picture for the rest of the game. Chef's kiss, we love to see it. So I think on top of that, they have to Oakland have to be very precise on their team fights, because as you said, if you blink, the other champions are going to be on top of you. So you have to be very cautious about exactly where you position yourself. So the micro game is going to be super important. Cheese Jazz is going to be at a very, very, very long distance from team fights, because he can, as you said. It's not just because he's going to protect himself. He's going to be able to deal the damage from afar as well. So I think it's going to be that plus the advantage they can build and that they should build in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. And, we've analyzed, we've given you the win conditions. We've talked about what these teams do. So now it is down on them for them to do it, as we are on to the Rift 4 game number 2 between MBU and OU. And already these guys are looking sideways at each other, Seth.
Yeah, let's have a look at how this is going. You Never Loved Me, Stoli, and Ferdinand already going for a quick engage on Jed 1, maybe just a deep warding here, denying them from taking that down. Of course, with just one person, you can really take the ward before it disappears. So I like this already, because MBU needs to have that pressure in regards to vision, and that's what they're trying to do. They have to protect the Hecarim, not in regards to his life, but definitely in regards to his territory.
Yes, and I think that's the perfect thing to highlight too. So MBU leveling, or just kind of leveraging that early aggression just to make sure that they cut off any potential play before it begins, and making sure that OU understands that they're not going to have a chance to get in there and try and steal these buffs. So as far as You Never Loved Me is concerned, that's about as optimal as a start as you're going to get. You didn't get invaded, so now you should be okay. But flip side of that, obviously with the territory, means that Cheese Chaz and Battle are going to have the early push in this bot lane.
Yeah, and WZAC, they are starting in the same side of the map, so they're probably going to meet in the top lane for their Scuttle Crab. So that might be where the action starts happening. But to be fair, Jed 1 and Stoli are already fighting each other out here. Stoli with a little bit of advantage in the range scenario as they're going in on Jed 1, just making that pressure. Oh, and the miss on those chains there is going to keep Stoli safe for a little longer.
As long as Stoli can play around the minions and make sure that Jed can't actually get his full combo off, he'll be fine. He can farm at distance with the Q, with the E, and make sure he doesn't get caught. But speaking of getting caught, that's going to be all him ticking. The Ignite's going to get him. First blood goes over to the Zillion OU. Oh, that's where they're going to be very happy to have that one.
Oh, B-low. Very, very nice. didn't even take the double bomb. It was just the regular bomb. And good positioning from Cheesy Chess as well. And they're going in with a full. Oh my god.
That's going to be
Was
2
that
quick kills
even
for OU.
necessary?
Yeah, that's going to be great. I think the flash, just to confirm to make sure that Stoli couldn't flash out, just to make sure he couldn't get out of the turret, was going to be good. It is just going to be a summoner, though, so Stoli will still have his flash. WZEC will be down his. But,
Yeah.
I mean, this is exactly what you wanted from OU. You want to see them get these early leads.
Yes, I'm very happy to see that because they saw the MBU were trying to prepare themselves for that possibility. But OU has to go for the breaches, has to go for the opportunities where they get MBU out of position, when they get MBU by surprise. And now they're dominating a little bit of that top map. While You Never Loved Me is going to try to go for a sneaky invade on this red buff.
He doesn't have smite. WZEC should be able to secure this one. He's going to get smited away, but now W is going to just go ahead and trying to fight this one in this top side jungle. You Never Loved Me. Going to pop the ghost. Needs to get on out of here because Jed 1 is rotating over here. This is not where you want to be. The Maokai's going to be here as well. This is going to be commit. That was an overforced WBU, and they're going to get punished for it.
Yeah. I think that was a little too aggressive for its own good. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that one. An early flash to avoid that double bomb. Looks like that nailing that down so much that it's not even an unreliable source of CC anymore.
Yeah, Jad 1, though, going to be forced to flash over, though, so it is going to be a trade to summoners in this mid lane, so Stoli will still have access to his. MBU, they need to try and respond a little bit further on this map, make sure they can't get it in. WZEC's going to be here. Young Dog not going to be able to land the handshake onto them before that goes out, and now Heckram's going to be here. This could be a double kill. This is the moment they need. They want to try and respond. That's going to be the Conqueror puck. They're going to get one, but they need to get WZEC. Has no flash, and Heckram's going to be picking up those kills, and now the horse is back online, and he pays it back for the investment in that top side.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see MBU after the unfortunate play from You Never Loved Me in the jungle. They really connected that with Renata Glass as well. And the 1v1 here on the top lane, quick slice and further lands. Oh, the damage from Clad actually pulling it off a lot. Double cookies popped by Maokai, so they can actually try to stay healthy for a little longer.
And he's going to get stunned up. He doesn't have access to the flash. The Clint's going to come out from Cheese. Going to try and put the damage into the Varus. They want to make sure that's going to be the bailout. Getting it! He gets the bailout! That's huge. Now they want to try and run down Cheese Chest. He doesn't have access to the flash. And now You Never Loved Me. He wants to get this gold if he can. They just want to make sure they don't drop anybody. He's 3-1-0 on the Heckram, and he's feeling good. A play that OU made turns back into their face.
I'm so happy Young Hook, that resurrection there, and the snipe from Tiny Dolphin getting
Flash?
the kill, and it's going to be maybe, oh yes!
No.
The guarantee, flash kill onto Maokai. Furtherlands gets that 1-0 lead in the top lane.
Furtherlance just making sure that he can make the power of that Kled felt early, and that was exactly what we were looking for. You know, for the most part, it is a wet noodle fight when you see the top laners, but Kled is a little bit of a different animal because he has good damage, and Jad, you did not want this fight. You were down a significant amount of experience. Stoli has access to the ultimate, so he could just look to trade however, whenever he wants, and it was a really, really rough opening couple of minutes for MBU, but they have definitely responded.
Yes, I'm so pleased to see how they responded to that, because it was, as we mentioned, after a scuffed situation, it's easy to try to end up feeling a little behind, to getting a little lost in that mental. And they were not intimidated by any of that, and they pulled it off super nicely. Another great snipe, Tiny Dolphin popping up the heads off with Pengu. I am very pleased, because sometimes it can be so frustrating to get just destroyed as the gank that was with You Never Loved Me in the jungle. So really nice to see them coming back around with as much confidence as they had before the play.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to highlight too, because when you do have a play that kind of goes in your face like that, when you're trying to get a little bit of an invade, you're trying to get some pressure across the map, and then it turns back in, towards you, and you don't get the success that you wanted, or you end up giving kills. You see a lot of teams get kind of gun shy, where they're really worried about making a mistake again or overforcing it, so they slow the tempo down. They end up giving a lot more than they need to. But I think definitely MBU not going to be one of those. And now that it's level 6 for Never Loved Me, he's going to try and get the charge, as it's going to be the Prance, and the jump in from Heckram is going to be another one. Cheese just trying to see if he can delay a little bit of time. He's not going to get that. Tiny Dolphin's going to pick up one in addition to what Heckram gets in. The dragon is going to be theirs.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of timing, I loved how they went for that before the bot lane
Lance,
had
he's gonna
gotten
get the
level
remount.
6. Yes,
He's gonna get
they
the
are.
open. He's gonna jump in on top of Quick Slice. He has no other CC, and yeah, that's just an easy kill to knock down for the Kled.
Yeah, Furtherlands, really, really nice on those 1v1s. But definitely my favorite part about that on the bot lane was the domination coming from their positioning. But WZAC going on Tiny Dolphin, they're going to go down if Young Hook is not there in time. They are not. And Viego gets that kill, but it's still a Drake for MBU nonetheless.
The Young Dog can look to try and go through the Dragon Pit and try and flash over. Bella's going to get the slow. It's going to be the commit there from the side of WZAC. Gets another jump over, though. This could be a fight for them. Jad's going to slay that one, and now You Never Left Me going to try and run. Unstoppable onslaught there for Jade 1. You Never Left Me, though, trying to run for the hills. Gets out. They trade one kill, but they get the Dragon.
Yes, they do. Nice to see Oakland also doing the same after they lost so many fights, one after the other. So they went for getting the kill on Tiny Dolphin. Really, really nice, as they saw how much they can grow in the game, in this past game that we had. Oh, the Stoley's feeling aggressive here. Yes, because Jad 1 has no mana, and they have damage and the ulti.
You have no mana, sir. As says Stolas, he's going to make sure that Jad goes and gets his way on out of here. And yeah, this is the byproduct of roaming so much from the side of the Oakland mid laners that you're going to be giving up a lot of pressure, a lot of experience, and gold to the Castan, which we highlighted is not the thing you want to do. If he's left on an island, he will slowly become a problem. He's already level 8, so he has a significant advantage over the silos. He'll be getting to that level 14 here really pretty quickly with the way he's farming right now. He's almost on par for 10 CS a minute, so this is something that OU are going to have to be very cognizant of, especially when they get ready to try and get in some of these early team fights.
Yeah, not only almost 10 CS a minute, but almost double of how much CS Jed 1 does. And it's just stacking on MBU. Those bounties there, 400 gold for Hecarim, 150 for the Kled on top lane. And they came back with a TP straight into a 1v1 once again.
Interesting to see now that MBU, they also have the pressure. This is something that you don't get to see a whole lot of is, hold on, Tiny Dolphin just trying to swim his way on out of here. Doesn't want to end up in the extinction list, so just gonna play it very, very carefully. But MBU, this is something you don't get to see a lot of, but whenever you have this kind of pressure around the map, when you're winning heavily just in all of your lanes, this does for you to make up both plays. Normally what you see is that kind of Herald for Dragon play, which is kind of what we saw the last time in the early levels for that first Herald. But now MBU in an even much better state than they were the first time, so that means that they're going to get both early objectives. So this should just be a lot of gold, hopefully going into the pockets of this Kassadin. I mean, look at the mid lane CS difference too. It's almost 50 CS difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost double for Kassadin, and that's huge. Exactly because of what we said. Not only do they have the gold now, but they're gonna go and they miss the ulti. No, Tiny Dolphin.
That's going to be changed missing, but they will be able to follow up with a little bit more damage. It's going to force the Clash and the Cleanse out of Chi, so that will be the Summoners missing from the OU ADC for just a little while longer, so they can look to gank that again. You Never Left Me will have plenty of opportunities. But he might fancy himself an opportunity right now. He's going to get the speed up, wants to get the Brance in. That's going to be the unstoppable onslaught underneath the turret. One more Q would do it, and he's going to try and fight back. Eats another turret shot, but now needs to survive. W's like, has he bitten off a little bit more than he could chew? Trying to run, and yes, will get taken down. So the shot going to go over to WZek. The gold's going to feel good in his pockets, but that still leaves Stoley in the mid lane of farm.
Yeah, well, they didn't go down, so good for MBU. Stoley remained alive, even though it was by so little health. To be fair, they are still here. WZek really going for that deny on the recall as they do so.
Bad manners.
Right. Right, and they don't even stay to get the blatings.
That's you hate to see it when you're the casting right there. Like all you want to do is complete your back, but and in that moment you're like, surely he won't dive me under tier 2 mid lane. But then you're like, better not risk it. I'll just back on out of here. So yeah, a little bit of in-game strategy, like, I might get you. So yeah, definitely still going to be paying respect to the OU jungler, making sure that they don't give any more gold. And we've been focusing a lot on what MBU has in terms of the leads that they're getting, as Fernland's just going to continue to bully Quick Slice in this one. You only thought he was out, but he's actually going to jump right back in. Conqueror prompt, and Quick Slice has really nowhere to get out. The chain pulls him back, and he's going to jump forward. One more on him would do it, and he gets it with the Q. Oh, Fernland, he's winning in his top lane, 3-0-0. Someone needs to get a hold of this Kled before he becomes a problem.
Yes, they really do, because all these skills, 300 gold, have been only by 1v1s. You had no pressure from the other, the jungler or any other team members there. So really showing how Ferdinand is super comfortable on this champion. and they're gonna get the platings there. Still 1 minute and a half of them left to go. Below is around the corner, but they're going to engage on You Never Loved Me instead.
He's going to be forced to use the ult to get over the wall. He's slowly ticking. The red buff's actually going to be able to get enough. Sorry, was that challenging smite that went down on him. So now WZ's going to get this. So this just means that the dragon goes for free over to OU. So a great play to make.
Yes, definitely great there. And once again, they do this. Oh my god, below? Oh, that was actually really too close for comfort.
Yeah, Stoli just getting a little bit greedy there in the mid lane, wasn't respecting the fact that there were too many OU members, so just gets punished. And yeah, OU fighting back in this one. They're making sure that they keep this gold lead fairly close. Now, Never Left Me is going to be up, so he can't actually run out here with the home guard to try and see if they can contest this one. Wave is shoving that. I think Tiny Dolphin will be more than happy to sack that CS, but this should just go without contest. His Never Left Me is not going to be in the area to get it, so they know that WZ's on there. The bot lane is rotating, so this will just be the drag going the way of OU.
Okay. I just love snipes. No vision.
Quick slice. He's just going to walk out of here. This is just a bunch of posturing. I don't expect anyone to actually try and fight right now. It's going to be speed up on a quick slice. Twisted Advance, though, was used to try and lock somebody down, but ultimately not going to do too much other than that. Now, Hecarim still has this Herald. They need to try and make a play. She's rushing top and see if they can get something, but I think they're not going to be able to get anything because of the cast time on this. Oh, you know this is happening. They're rotating 3 people up. Hecarim, has he been caught out here? They actually can stop this Herald from really doing anything if they can get on top of it. Eye is still exposed. And will it be able to get the charge? No, they're going to knock it back, and that's going to be that play going straight into the dirt. Stop the onslaught, Jake. Oh, they're just going to fizzle. Nothing's going to happen.
Are they, though? I mean, to be fair, they could have. Oakland University, they could have. They were in a super great position. Yeah, yeah. I think they got a little bit scared because they don't have much vision on that river. So I respect that. It's good to not be overconfident, but a flash over the wall is not enough to get them. And they don't lock them down, but it might be enough to pop the Zillion ulti as they're going to respawn.
He's going to come back in, but he's going to die almost immediately. Going to be able to knock him down. Now what else can they get? That's going to be the ultimate coming out for the Renata. What else? Wizzik is the next to drop. If they can just get him and make sure that he falls, that would give them a lot of power in this lane to be able to try and drive this battle. Doesn't have access to the ultimate. There's 3 members here. Stoli, he's looking. You definitely want to try and get the Viego before you get anybody else, but no, they say this is too much of a risk. We're not going to do it. We're just going to go back towards the mid lane. We'll shove these waves in. We don't need to give anything over. We're happy with the game state that we have.
Yes. I think it's safer for MBU to do that right now. And Oakland University had a couple of opportunities where they could have gone in, but I also respect how safe they were because they didn't have vision, because that was one of the things they were lacking in the last game. So major props for them for realizing that, which is part of recognizing your limitations. And I really like that they are doing this in a way that it's bringing the game back onto their side, and they lock Furtherlands down. It might be a good shutdown for Felius, but they managed to escape.
Yeah. Furtherlands already has access to that early Black Cleaver. I like that he bought those boots to make sure that any lockdown coming out from the side of OU is going to be short. Again, I think it just bears repeating, obviously, with the way the MBU have been playing this game. The biggest difference in all of these lane states is that mid lane, 138 CS on Stoli. He is massively far ahead of Jad1. He has a 2-level advantage. 14 is really just right around the corner. He's going to continue to get strong. And when he does reach that level 14, that's when OU are going to continue to have a problem. This is going to force out the teleport now. So Kled is coming, but he's not fairly healthy, but this is just to dissuade the play. Jad1 going to miss the ultimate, so now that should mean the end of that. And they're just going to protect this bot lane turn again. They just want to waste OU's time.
Yes, they do. It was a good dodge from Tiny Dolphin there, because if those chains had hit, Jad1 would have finished Varus down so quickly, especially with no mana just like that. And with ultimate being just out of effect on Silas. So they're actually not discouraged to go on these two still.
OU is looking for this, but I think that they're wasting a lot of time. This is not the last play. If you're going to dive this, you need to do it now, because they've already claimed the second Herald. You have a man disadvantage in that top side, and now they're just retreating from this really too late. They're going to get that mid lane too, for sure. They're probably going to get a couple kills, because now Cheese Chaz has no way to get away from this one. The Maokai is here. Twisting Advance hits onto absolutely nobody, and now MBU, they have the inside track on this mid lane. They can't stay here, and they're still trying to dive MBU in this bot lane. They have wasted so much time. The reset is going to come through, but it's a double kill for Stoli. They're going to get the charge on this one. This is an inhibitor pre 18 minutes. OU, they have dropped the ball on this play.
They really did, really did, Horizon. And I think it wasn't just their overcommitment on the bot lane, but also the awareness from Tiny Dolphin and Fraudulence there to be able to cancel their recalls and not let them go back, try to defend the turret. It was 2 turrets there, but maybe it's going to be a kill on these 3 players from MBU as we speak.
Jad 1's ultimate's going to miss, so they're not going to get any lockdown from that bailout. So what else are they trying to do? They want to chase this one now because Fertilance is here. He has a lot of damage. There was a lot of ults used to get a whole lot of nothing, though. Teleport in that small brush. They need to try and see if they can knock WZek down. Going to be the dismount there from the Kled. He wants to just buy a little time before he can get the remount again. Damage is going to be coming in. It's going to be a double kill for You Never Loved Me. And now it's going to be the Aphelios here. But is he too late? The answer is yes. He gets one in return, but he's not going to be able to get much more than that. Unstoppable onslaught for You Never Loved Me. Chasing underneath the turret. Wants to get one more auto. He gets it, trades his life, but it's a 400 gold shutdown going into Cheese Chaz. But ultimately, they get wiped, and this might just be the game. It was a quadra kill. They've lost too much. Oh, this might be an earlier in the game. What else can Bello do? He's here. He's trying to buy time. He needs to clear the wave. He's trying to let it slow out a Tiny Dolphin. He's going to get the stun there, or sorry, the slow for the Blazing Beam off of the ultimate, and yeah, so Tiny just going to try and walk away. That was a commitment to get a lot more. They almost got it. Now Teleport coming out. Jad 1, if he can get this one, they buy a little time to get themselves the Dragon. It's going to be Tash up for Flash. It's going to be the Everfrost come into there, and now Tiny Dolphin will fall. So an overstayed there a little bit, but they get a whole lot out of that series.
Yes, they do. They took so much there, Horizon. And I think it was really great from MBU how much they could push from just their Herald alone and the fact that over Oakland University overstayed their welcome in the bot lane. But
dude, they can test for this.
Yeah. The TP to get the trade back on Varus was also great from Oakland University as engaged in this Inferno Drake.
Stoppable Onslaught is not available if You Never Loved Me, so they're likely going to try and take a play after this goes down. It's going to be the objective bounty play, but now they have to try and get their way out of there. Twisting advance to buy a little bit of space, but the slow is going to come out, and now Stoli, he's going on a rampage. This Cassie that we talked about, he's not even level 14, and he's the problem. It's a double kill going to go over to him. A double kill for the Hecarim, and now this Resurrection will only send WZek into a delayed chamber. That's a triple kill, and now this could be the game because the super minions pushing on the Nexus Towers. MBU, they may have found themselves a series win off of that fight.
Wow. It's just incredible how much they have been performing well on those team fights because, as you said, Stoli's not even level 14 just yet, but Hecarim, You Never Loved Me is huge. Also, Furtherlands with the advantage they built on the top lane. So really, this is, wow, incredible from Missouri Baptist as they take this Nexus down. Horizon with a sweep against Oakland University. That was nice. It was super great to watch.
That was a very fast series. That second game was even faster than the first one. And it just, that last Dragon fight just did not go their way. They tried to commit to get that one, but not realizing that they had to respond to the mid wave. They didn't play it cleanly. They were such in a rush to get the objective, and MBU punished them. Yes, you get the Dragon, but you trade a whole game to get it.
Yes, they did. They didn't even notice that Stoli was around the corner. Cassidy was flanking them from just below the river. So while they were focusing that energy, as you said, in trying to take the objective, get the Drake for themselves, they didn't take all the perspective of the rest of MBU just gathering around them and just as if it was a Javan cataclysm, just surrounding them and turning that little spot into the perfect place for Stolius Cassidy to just go in, deal all the damage alongside Hecarim, of course, with a Scyther there dealing AoE damage. So basically, incredible performance from MBU in all of those team fights, but definitely all throughout the game with how they managed to deal with every fight, every situation that Oakland put onto their face. They turned back around. They said, okay, we made a mistake here, but we're not going to be more careful. As you said, we're not going to slow this down. Be ready to meet me again. And this time you're going to die.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a case of we'll just keep throwing the spaghetti at the wall and make sure it sticks. And if it doesn't, keep throwing more spaghetti. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. MBU were able to get out to a very early lead. They had a much more impressive game just in the early stages of that. It went really well. All the phases of the game went their way. And I think for them, it's going to be a great performance. So love to see that from them. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, we're going to have an interview with the one and the only Fertilance coming up in this one. So don't go anywhere because after this break, it's an interview with the top laner from MBU.
things that they were fans of. It's how baseball grew. It's how basketball grew. It's how rugby and all those other sports grow and sustain.
Cornhole grew.
But in all seriousness, all we need is time.
Mhm.
All we need to do is ensure that our products get better, our opportunities become more authentic, accessibility remains open, and monetization remains enough to us to continue to what we're doing and grow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Collegiate Esport Commissioners Cup 2022. Once again, I'm still Septulence, but this time I am joined by the CEO of New Street, Eric, who's going to get to tell us about NFTs, which I'm really excited because I told you this before the interview. I know nothing. I'm like a newborn baby about this.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear kind of about what you do, and then we can talk a little bit more about the esports side of things.
Yeah, so absolutely. We'll get into the NFT side in a second. But just to quickly explain what I do.
Yeah, of course.
Eric Witchen, thank you for the intro. CEO of New Street. And New Street is a media and analytics platform for collectors. So you can think about it as like the world of collectibles has grown significantly over the last 5 to 10 years. And what's happened is we've had a lot of marketplaces evolve. So places that are going to sell you things. Like if I want to buy a pair of sneakers, I have to go to no less than 10 to 12 websites in order to figure out the best price. So, you know, the value proposition for us starts with, you know, as a collector, where can I buy these things on the internet and where can I get the best deal possible? And then furthermore, we add media and insights, you know, sort of like a financial technology company would do, but around things that I personally care about a lot more than stocks.
Right.
So that's us.
Absolutely. So looking at it, you know, NFTs being one thing, esports being the other.
Yeah.
Where's the link? Where's the connection there?
So first off, let's demystify NFTs a little bit.
Oh yes, please.
So first of all, an NFT is the first time in human history that we've been able to prove that something digital is scarce.
Yeah.
You need to take that in for a second. So basically, you know, we've been creating things on the internet and with digital art and otherwise for many, many years. We're buying in-game items, we're doing a bunch of things, and we've been taught that because you can copy and paste those things, they have no value, right? Enter the blockchain, and the blockchain allows us to be able to prove that something digital is truly owned by one particular person.
Sure.
So you can copy and paste that thing as many times as you want,
Is it
but
like
you
a
don't own it.
certificate then?
It's absolutely like a certificate of authenticity, certificate of ownership that could represent a digital asset or a physical asset just as equally.
Right.
There are people playing with this in real estate markets. I mean, so, you know, collectibles, you know, is just one of the areas that this thing is interesting in. But in terms of esports, I think it connects very much to, you know, when you think about all the work that you do as a gamer in these ecosystems, what happens if one day this ecosystem, this company that controls this ecosystem no longer exists? All your in-game assets and all the things that you've worked so hard no longer exist too. And so, of course, you know, the primary use case of these assets in ecosystem are going to be within the ecosystem, maybe forever. But it'd be really nice to be able to pull them out of the ecosystem, own them separately. And so if those companies are foregone, you know, go by the wayside someday, you still have these things to say, hey, I used to play this game.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. And so that's really where I think the value comes in.
Okay, so that's
Preservation of value, so to speak.
yeah, so that's a great kind of segue into the other part. You've got all these positives, so people that are looking at it, they're kind of shaking their head a little bit. They're like, oh, this is going to be damaging, this can be harmful. What is kind of the counterpoint to that, I guess?
Of course. The counterpoint is that I think the misperception is these NFT games are coming to take gaming away from gamers, or the fun out of games.
Uh-huh.
And the fact of the matter is that's like a lot of the current NFT gaming is more of a replacement for casino gambling than it is for anything else.
Sure.
I mean, these are not meant to be competitive with the games that you guys are playing here, and shouldn't be seen as such. So it's almost like two completely different industries.
Okay.
You know, the graphic engines and all the things that are behind the scenes on these things, they're just not there yet. I mean, if you look at you know, it looks like some of these look like Minecraft 10 years ago.
Right.
But that being said, really, it's the connectivity to economics, to the rest of the web and whatnot that makes a lot of these things really more interesting.
Sure.
And those things haven't even happened yet.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So it's To kind of pull us away from the esport back to the NFT kind of topic, and you and I did discuss this a little bit before the interview, is people are often talking about how NFTs can be damaging or harmful to kind of the real world, literal environment, the environment
definitely,
itself. So
definitely.
what is kind of, for somebody, compared to me who knows nothing, someone who actually knows what's up with NFTs, what's the stance on that?
Yeah, so absolutely. So it's one of the most strongest negatives about NFTs right now is the carbon footprint that these blockchains leave. And just to get not too technical, but just to talk really quickly through it, there's these things that essentially are used to confirm transactions. It's called a consensus mechanism. Okay. Essentially, it's how do you prove that the ledger is accurate?
That it happened,
right? And so Bitcoin and Ethereum currently use this thing called proof of work. Okay. And that uses a lot of energy, tons of energy. I mean, energy of small countries. So I do agree that on a per user basis, the electricity that's being used right now by the network is absolutely higher than it should be. That being said, Ethereum in particular is going through a change this year that's going to reduce the emissions by something like 99.5%.
Wow.
So it's really like, it's kind of like one of those things that is a current problem, but that problem gets solved really quickly.
Right.
And I sometimes question the areas that these narratives come from. Because when you think about it, right, like negative narratives tend to come from industries that don't want something to succeed. And you look at the things like crypto industries or whatnot. And there's a lot of industries that stand to lose if crypto wins. So I'll just leave it at that. But there's a lot of false narratives being perpetuated, especially around the environment and the fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back onto the analyst desk with a post-match interview, and joining us is Fertilance, the top laner for MBU. Fertilance, how are you doing, man? How are you feeling after that series?
I'm doing really good. Just excited. Continue going on through the tournament. We've been undefeated so far and looking to keep up the pace moving through.
Yeah, awesome. You look so relaxed. Was that the vibe of the team when you guys got into the game? Did you know a little bit about Oakland University? How was that?
Yeah, we usually don't really do a whole lot of scouting work. We just kind of show up to the game and play it. So with Oakland University, we tried our best just to kind of look around in terms of like what we did for scouting. We noticed a few things about like their mid laner and just how we really liked to play safer lanes. And we noticed that whenever he wasn't on somebody that was safe, he performed usually pretty badly in his solo queue games. So we kind of used that and we're kind of canceling out those safer picks like the Seraphine Ziggs inside the draft and forcing him on things that forced him to lane, which ended up going in our favor.
So one of the things I want to talk about when you talk about things going in your favor, you had two pretty interesting top lane matchups. So you had that Kled in the second game, which is the one I really want to focus on. This is a champion we just don't see in competitive play a lot when you're looking at a lot of team draft compositions. So what was the mentality behind drafting the Kled?
So I've always been a big fan of Kled, and we've drafted it quite a bit just in like scrims and such. We really like it for the type of play style that we like to run, which is just very fast paced, especially in team fights. We like to just get in there because we notice that if we don't have like a solid engage or we have a team that has any poke, Kled will just completely annihilate that, especially against certain characters like the Fiora and Jax like that like to split push. Kled works really well with that because that allows us just to force fights because they have to be split pushing. But for the most part, that game, it was like we had the Hecarim, we had the Varus, we had the Renata, just a very fast-paced composition. So the Kled was just a spearhead for that and allowed Varus to just be able to pop off as well as Cassin. It just basically creates chaos.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and definitely that really showed through what we were watching. Of course, we didn't get to hear what you guys were saying, but it was so clear how you really wanted to go for the aggression, how you wanted to go for not giving any time for them to respond. And I think that was great. That was one of the things that we were mentioning that worked out super well for you guys. So nice to see that that's what you were going for anyways. But tell me a little bit in regards to what you said about you guys don't scout that much, but you tried to go for denying the picks for the mid laner. Did you think they were like the biggest threat? What was that like?
So we didn't think he was the biggest threat. We kind of more saw him as a weak link compared to our mid laner who we knew would perform on the things like the Silas and the Cassidon. So with that being said, we really like to play around our mid and jungle synergy. They are two of our best players on the team. So that's something that we really try to prioritize. Like in the first game when we had the Kindred, we try to make sure that we have something to match the aggression of the Kindred, so the Silas was picked for that. And then the second game we had the Hecarim. We knew he would do really good at Hecarim because he's very surprised to let Hecarim go through. Anytime he gets Hecarim, we always win. So we basically just had him going on the Kassadin just for basically a security because we knew we performed the early game with the Hecarim.
All right, Ferdinand, that's going to do it for us in terms of the questions. So I'm going to give you the chance to shout it out. Obviously, this is your moment. You're on the spotlight. You've won. So if there's anyone you want to shout out, a family member, a team member, a pet, this is your moment on the stage. Give them a shout out.
Well, thank you to all my friends that are watching. They've been watching every single game that we've been playing so far. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to us, the Missouri Baptist and me. So really appreciate that. But other than that, just look out for us in the coming matches. I'm sure we'll continue this steamroll.
All righty. Well, Ferdinand, thank you for the game. We appreciate you so much for that, and good luck in your final games. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here on the League of Legends broadcast, but we're not done tonight because we've got another action coming at you. We've got Mountain West Rocket League coming up with Boise State University versus the University of Nevada, Reno. We're joining Mr. Bepic and Jungle God, so don't go anywhere because that is coming right up.
Whereas they are currently concerns, they very quickly become non-concerns. Sure. And a lot of actually the current blockchains that are being used actually already uses consensus mechanism. Okay. So really take very, very, very little power.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, are you afraid that even after they fix this, the 99% goes on? Sure. Are you afraid that's going to damage the longevity of this idea, of this concept?
I think that it has the potential to, right? Sure. Because we're still in the early adoption phase. Right. And so anytime you get a narrative as strong, especially environmental ones, which I am very attuned with, environmental concerns, it alienates a large group of people. So there are groups of people, that like lobbyists for all intents and purposes that are taking the counterpoint and are essentially lobbying for the crypto industry. So lobbyists everywhere, basically. Yeah.
And I guess, so we've covered the NFT portion, we've covered a little bit of the gamer portion, but a gamer watching this, somebody gaming.
Absolutely.
Where's the benefit for them? What's the benefit of kind of the gaming NFT?
Absolutely. So I would say right now, very little. I'll be honest with you. Sure. But it's coming. And where it's coming is in the ability to own these in-game items and digital objects that you worked so hard to collect, that commemorate things that you've done, things that you've won. It connects to a lot of different things, particular in esports, but also just in everyday life. Yeah. Ticketing for events is there's a lot of ticketing vendors that are moving to this as some way to keep these tickets immortalized in your wallet forever. Once in a while I'll find a little piece of paper that reminds me that I went to a concert in 1987, right. But generally speaking, I don't find those that often.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of really cool things, and I think that a lot of people get sort of, any nascent industry is going to have cash grabs and scams. Right. The internet had that in '99 and 2000 as well, but here we are. So, that's kind of how I think about things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I know that I have learned a lot. I hope people watching have learned a lot as well, but I really appreciate all that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
First, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, so my name is Caitlin. I'm a part of Farmingdale State College's esports club. I am captain of the Valorant Green team. I am a second semester sophomore at Farmingdale State College, and I'm 19 years old.
Okay, do you like Farmingdale so far?
Yeah, it's really great. The program I'm in is very specialized, and it's not offered that often in the East Coast, so it's pretty nice. I enjoy it.
And what's your major?
My major is aerospace professional pilot degree.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Thank you.
So, is this your first time on an esports team?
No, so I've been a part of the Valorant team for 2 semesters, and this is my third semester, and it's my first time ever being a captain.
Okay, oh, that's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like being a captain?
So a lot of times I'm organizing the team, making sure everyone is properly set for upcoming games, um, getting scrims for our team, and kind of just making sure everyone is there, present, and possible, and able to play the games that we're gonna, you know, be participating in. We're participating in 2 leagues this semester, so it's kind of hectic.
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely. I can see that. How is it different for you as a player versus as a captain? Do you feel a lot of responsibility?
I basically have the responsibility of choosing who, really plays, what type of characters everyone's playing, and what positions and roles we are all doing, as well as being there not only as a team member, but also being seen as in a leadership role and having that sort of respect there, and being able to delegate everyone's role in the team. So it's definitely a lot more different, and my voice is most definitely heard. So I like it. I like being a captain.
Yeah, that's really good. What games do you play, or what is your main game? I know you mentioned Valorant.
Right. So I play Valorant, but I started off with Counter Strike, and I really always have been interested in FPSs. So that background has always been there. So my transfer onto Valorant was pretty easy.
That's cool. What have you done to improve yourself in game over time?
So one thing for my teams especially, I have open communication where we're able to really give our constructive criticism without taking offense. And me as a captain, especially it being my first semester, I find it really important that everyone is able to come to me and communicate like, hey Kate, I don't know how I feel about doing this, or I want my voice to be heard about this specific thing. And just basically taking into consideration everyone's voice and having that open line of communication is really helpful, and that's something I find really important.
Okay. Do you carry that strategy into your everyday life as well, would you say?
Yeah, communication is really important to me, especially in aviation with crew members. You're always trying to communicate properly and efficiently to get the assigned goal completed, and that works in video games as well as in aviation. So I feel like it transfers very well, and I put my 100% effort in everything I do. I put 100% in the team, the leagues that we're participating in, communicating with opposing teams that we might be going against. All those things, I take it really important and can transfer it very well into everyday life.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you think about CECC and just competing in general?
It's a lot of fun, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to participate. And this is something that every single member of our team has said. We've never had the opportunity to really compete in a fashion where it's not only fun, we're able to make friends, talk to other people from different schools. It's just an amazing opportunity and something we would love to participate in the future as well.
Yeah, we're really happy you feel that way. When your team is competing with other teams, are there any specific teams or schools that your team kind of looks out for?
I think we all have the mentality of it doesn't matter who the other team is. We're gonna put 100% effort, and we're going to maintain our mental, even if the other team is full of radiance. It's not something we're gonna keep in mind because we will be able to beat them. Fingers crossed.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good mindset. As you probably know, March is Women's History Month, and you being a woman in esports, how do you think that has an effect on esports? What does it mean to you to be a woman in esports and as a captain? Just could you talk about that for a little bit?
Coming into being a woman in aviation, which is already really a niche type of thing, especially with women in video games, things like that. It's just we're kind of the minority, and keeping that in mind, a lot of times you have to represent yourself properly because you are representing such a small community. So I feel proud and honored to be a part of the women's in aviation as well as being a woman in esports, and it's a lot of fun, and just understanding that us girls are here too, and we're as good as everyone else, and that we have the opportunity to be a leader in esports, and that we're equal to everyone. It's really important to keep that in mind because we're here even though you might not see us too often.
I know you said as captain your voice is heard, but when you first started to be a captain, did everyone take you seriously being a girl? Was that respect there, or did you struggle with that?
So I would say initially when I first got on the team, I was put onto a support role, and everyone knows that women normally play healer when it comes to going into any game. And now I'm playing more of a controller based or sentinel, which is very crucial for holding down sites. So by playing that now and then having those semesters in my backpack of experience, everyone has treated me with respect, and I would hope it stays that way. And either way, I demand respect because I reciprocate that respect to everyone else. So it's definitely difficult, especially for girls starting out. That toxicity is there, especially even now whenever I play a game without my team there. That toxicity is there just for being a girl. But as long as you know, don't have that mindset of them affecting you because you're better than them anyway, it's fine.
Definitely. Well, that's good. I'm happy that you're getting respect that you deserve, and that's awesome. And thank you so much again for your time, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. I just wanted to add that our esports team, our esports club as well, started only with 13 students and 2 teams in 2019. And now we're up to 19 different teams and over 350 students in to date in 2021. Like that progress is there. And even if you have such a small, like, if you think that things are so small, realize that a community is there for you, especially being a female in esports. That community is there for you.
Definitely. That's a great way to end it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it again and your time. Just thank you overall. That's awesome. Keep
No
doing what
problem.
you're doing.
Thank you
Thank
for the opportunity.
Of course. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey guys, KTAD here, and just like that, another season of ECAC Esports regular season play has come to a close. Over the last 8 weeks, we saw a crazy amount of hype competition from some of the best collegiate esports has to offer, and as usual, you guys have me one last time to break it all down and to show you guys what we thought were some of the top plays this week. And honestly, guys, I don't have much more to say. Just check it out because I think we've got some really incredible clips here. Let's take a look. In our opening clip, it's Professor Dementium with a straight boot off the stage to kick things off for Bloomfield.
Got himself one. Kick back off stage though. But the air dodge is going to be that Bowser. He'll do it again and he'll also bring himself that down smash so he gets quickly back before that Talk is able to take any sort of advantage. But well, you're gone. The spikes come through. It's a clean kick to wrap things up, and well, he's got one. He's got one stock for his troubles.
Up next, the duel of Donkers and Robeast have some things to say with this beautiful 1-2 combo to close the door on Albany.
Hit the intersection and go straight up in the air for Robeast, who's going to work Central Missouri into the offense. Flip reset's a good one. The pass down to Donkers, and he finds the net. A 3-goal deficit in Game 3.
I gotta say, Curtis, it seems like after these two teams came out of Game 2, right? Again.
In our next play, who needs to be able to see your enemy when you can just take a educated guess?
Great, 1-for-1 over towards Catwalk. There's still more where that came from. Myranium is next up, and he will take a couple too many fights. Solsta as well is going to be able to take a couple of fights, winning them both. It's a 1v3, and Novacorium won't be able to do anything. Johnson, Wales.
At number 5, it's Saltonics with this huge flank onto Cole College to secure Temple of Anubis for his team.
Right now, it's got to be just destroying it straight up. Maybe with the Coalescence, maybe the Supercharger, but that Retire could just immediately rip through.
Here's that Riptire. It does move Joker, but it could have been a catastrophic play. Now Nightbolt is pulled all the way off the point, and that's an easy one. Tonics coming in with a triple off of that crucial Rocket Barrage, and that is all of them off the point.
Now it's down to Joker just to get the touch onto the point. Tracer.
Coming back to the Bloomfield versus Keen matchup, it was a clutch finish from Zenipu as he finishes off Brandon without dropping a single stock.
No, one more lease on life. Lease on life indeed for Brandon. Looking to hold the ledge, but a recovery from Zenipu. He says second time's the charm. He'll send him to the moon, and once again, Zenipu will not drop a stock.
Blast packing our way into the number 2 spot though. It's a 4K from Butter to cement the lead for Providence College.
Back roads around the high ground to try and avoid that as much as possible.
Oh my absolute days! Here was me looking for that transcendence to counteract the grab, and no, it was just a big fat go button. In comes the pulse bomb. Down goes SUNY Poly Wildcats.
Phil, I can't remember the last time I've seen...
Blast packing our way into the number 2 spot though. It's a 4K from Butter to cement the lead for Providence College.
Not much more. That tap can go a long way in the latter half, right? Now Retna bringing out that stimmy, trying to get the opportunity to move the team in forward. Okay, there's that showstopper I was thinking about. It looks like D-Nuns is going to have that show stopped. Sal, not particularly far behind, a 4v2. But really starting to wake up here on the race.
Yeah, wow, so impressive. And 4K there, just going straight through the entire team like a bulldozer. Will not stop until all are taken down.
And in our top play from the last week of regular season play, it is a nail-biter last-second goal that will keep you guessing until the very end.
Their own open, a little bit of high pass, you angle it in, but it's just off the top of the goalpost.
Top of the goalpost coming in deep. Matrix able to find something here. The demolition comes through. 7 seconds left for a true game win, but in overtime feeling incredibly likely. But tied out of a wide open goal. No! No! Orbital, the waffle iron has been flipped, and Farmingdale finds themselves up 4-3. 2 seconds left on the clock. The only hope for Louisville to win this out is with a kickoff goal. They cannot make a single mistake, or they will.
And with that, I mean, what more do you guys want me to say? It was a crazy week to wrap things up, but it's really just been a crazy season overall with the addition of Division A and what I personally think is some of the most competitive action here in collegiate esports. I mean, what a season, and there's only much more to come. With the playoffs starting on April 4th, you guys can expect to see a lot more action that will continue all throughout the month, and that will wrap up on the week of April 25th. Now, if you guys want to stay up to date on all of that, make sure you follow us on Twitter at ECAC_esports, or follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/ECAC_esports. Mondays and Tuesdays, matches will be lighting off at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesdays, it is going to be the doubleheader of Rocket League and Overwatch at 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are tuned in. And as for me and the rest of the crew behind the scenes that works on not only just the production, but these highlight videos for you guys, we just want to say thank you for joining us for what has been another incredible season. And we look forward to so much more that we're going to bring you guys in the next school year, in the fall and the spring and beyond. We've got a lot of great things coming, so stick around, don't go anywhere. Come back right here to this channel, to this Twitter, to this Twitch, to this YouTube, wherever it is you see this. Stay tuned because even more is on the way. Thank you guys once again. I've been KTAD. It's been a wonderful season, and we'll see you next time.
That's so cute.
UCF, and it's really cute. So I'm gonna move down here. How do we feel? The odds for UCF? What are we thinking?
They got it. No, we got this. We got it. We got it. Go Knights. Charge on.
100%. My friend Nick is behind you. He's gonna record it. Don't look at him. You'll ruin the shot. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Come on. Let's go! Let's go! My smile's probably really creepy. I was just being weird. Oh, I love being in the shadows, though. Big shout out to the shadows. We could interview Dilly just because I think he's handsome. You weren't supposed to hear it.
Here's the thing about the event. I'm the greatest that's ever lived.
Literally true. I know him.
I think everyone knows that. I think everyone's aware of that.
Hey, do you have a VIP access badge on?
I actually have an all access.
Oh, an all access. I thought it said VIP access.
And that's only available for the best.
That's true. He's right. That's a main stage TO right there.
If this goes live, I'm suing everybody.
It's all right. A video of me, the first clip is me saying, don't put that in. And then it was the first, cut the cameras. Oh, you're recording already? Great. So this is this is Bay State versus UCF. I believe something that we saw yesterday on day one of the tournament, but instead we're going to have that run back here. I think they're fighting for a spot in Grand Finals. Anarchy, one of the best Greninja players in the United States, currently struggling against a Terry. Terry notorious for that DLC privilege, being a very strong character with some very strong abilities. Greninja, not so much, considered one of the weaker characters in the game. A Falco player, one of the best in the United States, and he just got spiked by a Terry. Same Terry that took out Anarchy literally minutes ago. UCF still up by 2 stocks. This guy is looking to rip this team apart single-handedly. That is, I mean, nuts, to say the very least. Absolutely absurd. That was a disgusting spike. I cannot believe that happened. Will you hold the microphone so I can sign this? Sorry.
For context, he's got a fan. He's actually signing something. He's so excited.
What was it like to not hear my voice for 2 minutes? For 30 seconds, maybe. What was it like? Probably bliss. I was signing a mouse pad, which is really cool. I've never done that before. Nobody's ever asked me for a signature, so I'm going to start blushing, but I'm really excited about that. And then he wants a picture. Can you take a picture of us? I said, is it bad? She went, no. I'm going to go ahead and take that as a yes. Turns out I can't tie a tie sitting down. What do you think is the appropriate face-to-screen ratio for a Valorant player?
Face to screen, like how close I sit?
Yeah, like how close should a player sit?
Personally, I play really, really close. I think it depends on your eyesight, but for me, I like playing close because it helps me focus on my crosshair.
Is the value of sitting close, the crosshair being the only thing in your line of sight?
Yeah, that's pretty much the main benefit of it.
It's so funny how close some of these guys sit. Oh my goodness. What do you think is the healthy face-to-screen distance for a Valorant player?
I think it's all kind of personal preference. I guess I would consider myself like pretty close when I play because I like to zone in on my crosshair.
It is the second person to say that. It's all about the crosshair. And then what's up with the horizontal keyboard?
I don't know, like it just kind of fits like the form when I'm close to monitor. Like I don't know, it might sound cringy, but I like to be one with my gun, you know?
No, bro, I feel it absolutely. What is going on, everybody? I am here with some UCF fans. How are we feeling about UCF? Let's go! Let's go! We've got a bunch of UCF fans in the crowd right now. UCF, they are up by a single game. They're looking to find their third and possibly final, secure a spot moving forward. Things looking great for them against Northwood here today. This guy's playing Minecraft right now. He keeps double building instead of placing the dirt. Pressure's on, man. Everybody's watching. Just kidding. Just me. Cameraman's not over here. Just kidding. He's behind you. There's actually always cameras on you if I'm around. Do you double build all of those? No excuses, bro. Your college esports Minecraft team absolutely rolled. L after L here. Let's hope UCF has a little better luck on stage, huh? What is going on, everybody? I am Septilence. I have the honor of welcoming you to the Collegiate Esport Commissioners Cup here in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, that was good. That was good. Good content, good content.
My name is Dusty. I'm 24 years old, and this is my first year at Bay State College and first year towards my bachelor's there. But I've been going to college for a few years now, or several years now.
Cool. What are you studying?
Right now, I am studying human resource management in
Nice.
business. Yeah.
Do you like Bay State so far?
Yes. Yeah. It's been pretty good so far. It's only been one quarter, but I like it so far. So
Where are you from?
I'm from SoCal. I'm doing it remotely from Southern California.
So what games do you play? What's your main game?
My main game is Smash Brothers, and that's what I compete in. So Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Okay, what character do you like?
Wii Fit Trainer is my main character.
So how has it been being part of a collegiate team at Bay State? Have you been on a collegiate team before?
I've been on I've been on teams before. I don't know if I've been on a collegiate team before. Um, I think this is my first collegiate team, but it is really nice, and the teammates are really supportive, and I've met some cool people, so that's nice. But I definitely do have experience like with teams, so uh, it's nothing like super new, but it's always good to be in a team, have that support.
A fresh team. Yeah, that's cool. So how long have you been playing Smash?
I've been playing Smash for about like 7-ish years now. Well, I've kind of played it since I was like really young, but like competitively, I've played it like 7 years. I played since the release of Smash 4, which is the previous Smash game, and now I've played into Ultimate, so quite a while.
What has been your proudest moment since playing Smash?
That's hard to say because I've honestly had a lot of good moments. It's just I feel like every other week or every other month I have a new moment where I'm like, wow, that's the best I've ever played, which feels good and makes it, I keep going for stuff like that. But every time I play and I play a tournament set and it feels really good and I feel like I'm playing the best I've ever played, probably each of those consecutive moments. I just had a tournament a couple weekends ago in Las Vegas where I placed ninth out of nearly 400, I think, and I think that was one of the best I've ever played, and that felt really good. So that was a really big accomplishment for me.
So you would definitely say over the past 7 years, you said that you've grown a lot in the game?
Yeah, I think I've grown a lot in the game, and I think I've also grown a lot just as a person too. Just like competition in general, and there's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of a lot of ways to approach it. I've learned how to teach other people as well because I do coaching as well, stuff like that. Um, so I've learned a lot through Smash. Yeah.
How long have you been doing the coaching part?
Coaching, I've been doing maybe a year and a half-ish, maybe almost 2 years. I'm actually not sure on the number. I think a year-ish, year and a half is probably closer to the right one. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun too. It's really interesting because it gives you a different perspective on the game, and not only are you helping other people, but you kind of help yourself in a way too because you can kind of see things from a different perspective, so.
How would you describe yourself? Do you like competing more or playing for fun or?
I'm definitely more of a competitor. Ever since I was young, like I remember playing like board games um with like friends or something. I think I was waiting for them to play, and I think some of them were playing like just like house rules or whatever, and I was like really, really young, and it like made me upset. I'm like, you guys aren't playing it the right way or whatever. But like I've always been a competitor, but at the same time, like you have to have fun because if you're only a competitor and you're only competing and it's all seriousness, like there's like a limit to that. So like you have to have fun. So definitely both, but I definitely lean towards the competitive sides of things. So I like optimizing things and seeing the best thing you can do because it all started out with like it all started out with it just being fun because when I was younger I played different games and I originally just played them for fun and I played them all the time, but I played them so often and I got so good at them to the point where uh, it just started to naturally lean into the competitive side of things, and I was so good to the point where I was like, oh, okay, what can I do to make myself like better, and how can I see this as like something I can improve at? So it kind of made like a transition a little bit, but so it's both.
If you were to give someone advice who may be looking into joining an esports team but they're kind of on the fence, what would you tell them?
My advice would be to really like.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Esports U's production of Mountain West Rocket League. I'm Mr. Bepic, and I'm joined in the booth by the wonderful Mr. Juggle God. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing well. I'm very excited to be here tonight for some excellent Rocket League action. We've got two fantastic matches coming our way tonight, and I just can't wait to get started.
I can't wait either. Both matches going to contain Boise State, a high-flying esports program. If you follow collegiate Rocket League at the highest of levels, you will be familiar. But they're contenders. University of Nevada, Reno in the first series, and Wyoming in the second. And I'm very interested to see how the two challengers play, especially Univ of Nevada, Reno, because I'm not as familiar with them. And if they play a team like Boise State, Tide, that's an impressive notch in their belt.
It absolutely is, because Boise State, as many of you may know, one of the top esports programs just across the board in the U.S., and specifically with Rocket League, too. They, last year, were able to take the Mountain West and ECAC championships. So this is a team that is used to performing at the highest level, and we're expecting nothing but that coming out from the tonight, especially because they have a freshman on the roster this year who I am very excide to see play Dirtho. One of the top 10 NA players in Rocket League. So this is going to be an absolute treat, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with tonight.
Indeed they are. They're also 6-1 in the Western Division of Collegiate Rocket League, and those are the best of the best. So very high expectations, I think it's safe to say, on the shoulders of Boise State. But University of Nevada, Reno, and they've got a chance here. As always, anything can happen in Rocket League. It's the beauty of competition, and well, starting us off, a little pressure from Boise State, but they will be deterred.
That they will. It's going to be Lions putting the ball, though, back in play for Boise State. Stops about mid-court, though. A little bit of a miss from Reno right there, trying to keep it in Boise State's side of the pitch. But they will be able to put a little bit of pressure on now. Paul finding himself in the Boise State corner. Ooh, I was going to say not for long, but a nice play from Reno to keep it in play.
Ooh, that's a goal if Wild's Knight's able to put the ball just a little bit more to the right. Early opportunities abound for Nevada Reno, and that's pretty big. Starting off with a bang, setting the pace of play at your level early on, but Demos interrupting that. A shot just barely denied, but very close shave for UNR.
It certainly was. Both of these teams doing a great job of applying pressure right now, keeping them on their toes. Nice flip reset to a beautiful goal from Gil. That's going to open things up with a goal for Boise State.
Boise State had their back against the wall for about half a second and then just took off running down the field. What a transition that was, and the individual effort out of Gil, absolutely beautiful. One of the main starting three on this Boise State roster, already making a difference, setting the tone back on the Boise State side, but in comes Lions, and that play certainly looks threatening.
It certainly did. Going for the double tap and unable to follow it up. Hoosh, though, with an aerial dribble, going to go to the top right corner of the goal, but expertly defended by University of Reno. Now it's going to be Wild's Knight trying to drive it back down the field, but meets a little resistance right at the midline. But that's not going to deter them. Demo comes in. They're going to try and center the ball, but Gil, once again, able to keep it out of harm's way. Nice aerial dribble there. Keeps it out of the way of University of Reno once again, and now the ball's back in Reno's corner.
Oh, that is such a difficult position. Crispy was trying to rotate back. They had 10 boosts, had to jump over the 100 because Gil snagged it out from underneath them while trying to demo Crispy as well. And then you got support. It's a 2v1. I do not envy the UNR defender right there, and unfortunately they're forced to concede.
They were, and that was a beautiful goal, too. It looked relatively easy. I mean, Hoosh just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I say just happened to be, but I'm sure he read the situation, was able to, put himself where he needed to be. Nice contest coming out from Lions right there. Goes for a pinch on the wall, able to get it up to midfield once again. Now Hoosh with an opportunity, but going to be denied by, again, one of the defenders of Reno.
These transitions are absolutely lethal from Boise State. UNR is going to have to find a way to contend against that. Maybe always have a player ready to rotate back at the drop of a pin, because that's what you need against Boise State. Their playmaking can hit you if your defense is not set. We've seen it already in that Gil goal. And the second one was a little more advantageous in numbers-wise, but I'll stop talking about Boise State and talk about Tunmoy, because that's the first goal for UNR.
And a beautiful shot as well. The defense just a little bit off. Hoosh barely misreads it for Boise State. That halves the lead right there and puts University of Nevada Reno in striking distance here to tie it up and maybe even take a lead in this series. Kickoff gonna put the ball, though, back on Reno's side of the pitch. Nice shot coming in from Gil. That's their second of the night.
2 for 2 is Gil in the first half of game one. It's just a simple snapping up on a big mistake defensively. It wasn't quite set off kickoff, was UNR, and Gil definitely was. Had 100 boost as well to make that shot happen if there's a defender back, and I'm sure they would have come darn close to doing it. So 3-1, Boise State, their 2-goal lead re-intact, and it was almost 3.
Yeah, that was an interesting play there. It looked like either 4 players missed the ball or 4 players faked it. But now we've got another opportunity here from Boise State. Going to be denied, though. And now chasing the ball back into their own corner, but also having to deal with one of the aggressive players, Wild's Knight from University of Reno. It's going to be Tunloink now trying to drop back for it, but misses it instead. Going to be Wild's Knight again, keeping it in play. Nice centering pass right there, but it's just going to fall right to Lions, who defends.
Oh, and Gil just pre-jumped this play off the back wall.
Oh,
Gil for the slam. It's saved, kept off the line, and it'll stay out. I don't know how UNR kept that ball from going in, but somehow they do.
Yeah, that was incredible right there. That was on a knife's edge, and UNR has to be thanking their lucky stars right there for that play. Nice job though, not panicking by any of the players on UNR and making that situation worse than it could have been. Now they've got another opportunity here to put some pressure on Boise. Nice pass there by Tunloink, opportunity, but it's going to be one of the defenders in there a little bit quicker to keep the ball out of harm's way for Boise.
That was great near post defense from Lions. Again, not panicking. It was on the other side of the pitch, but the defense still keeping a calm head. And I've been on Gil's camp for a while now, and they trust their teammates so much to defend. They're always, well, not always, but they play aggressively, rotations-wise. And I can see why, because Lions and Hoosh are doing a phenomenal job in 2v3 situations where they have to just stick a man on the near post and then have that other player be grabbing boost or getting the center or back post of the net. And Gil gets back, and the defense unscathed. This is a great rotation that Boise State has going for them and will benefit them in offense with quick hits like this.
What a shot coming out from Gil. That's going to be the hat trick for Gil right here. Just read that pass beautifully. And that's one of the things, too, about this Boise team that I think is so special is they pass like crazy. You're going to see some phenomenal passing plays tonight from them. Already have. And now, with just 30 seconds left to go, University of Reno, Nevada Reno, in a tough position. Maybe they can get a couple of goals here to give them some momentum into the next game. But right now, this one looks to be going firmly the way of Boise State.
I mean, Gil's collecting possession right after a demo that wasn't even necessary. Just targeting, making UNR's lives so difficult here at the end of game one. And it looks like a fifth on the cards. Pass across to a pre-jumping Hoosh, not going to find its mark. But regardless, Boise State looks confident. They look comfortable. They are zipping around the pitch, and they definitely deserve game number one in their back pockets.
They certainly do. 4-1 going to be the final score line there. But, you know, regardless of the outcome, you do have to give it up for Nevada Reno finding that one goal. It was a beautiful shot. And, you know, it shows, of course, that Boise State, they are not invincible. You could absolutely take a goal, take a game off them. But the stats don't lie. A lot of pressure put on by Boise State already tonight.
And as if it wasn't difficult enough defending against that BSU attack, Gil had 5 demos in that first game. That's a significant mark just for game one of a series when you're still getting set, plus a hat trick on 4 shots. Gil showed up and showed out. UNR has to figure out a way to limit their production on the BSU side and find a couple more shots. I mean, their transitions looked pretty good, pretty scary at times, but they have to find a way to establish offense and just keep BSU's offense off the field.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough task, right? Because again, if there's so many demos coming out from Boise as well, you know, that's, I think, something that maybe Reno could be looking for here. Maybe just target Gil very, very aggressively, see if you can just eliminate his presence from the pitch for a little while. But we're going to be headed into game number 2 here very shortly. Reno definitely got another opportunity to come back here. This is a best of 5, first to 3 situation here. So still got a little bit of room to kind of work things out, maybe go over some of their approaches, things like that as we move into the second game.
I'm curious to see what adjustments they do make in this next game. If they ramp up down the field aggression so that their counterattacks are a bit more hard-hitting, just so they have a player down the field to potentially pass to. Of course, that'll require some pretty good reads, making sure there aren't Broncos in the middle of passing lanes to intercept and then quickly score on a stunted defense. But we'll see what UNR ends up doing. This kickoff looks good, but Hoosh bumping Wild's Knight. It's so clean. And now this play as well, absolutely clean till the very end. Hoosh's shot near post. BSU scores.
Beautiful read off that ball, right off the kickoff. Lions drops it down just a little bit for Hoosh to be able to cut that beautiful angle, get it right over Wild's Knight as well. They were there for the defense, but just didn't quite read it right.
And the fact that Lions misses as well, but is still still a beneficial attempt at the ball because it faked Tunloink off the play. They missed the read because Lions didn't make a touch. So this Boise State attack is so dangerous, and I do not envy the spot UNR's in. There's a double commit, but they will get off the line.
Yeah, who's going to have to wait for the ball to just loft its way down to them? Lion, though, keeping it in play. Who's going to try and center it? But Gil just a little bit out of position to be able to follow up on it. Chris P ends up with it. But the flirting with disaster on UNR's side of the pitch. They're able to finally clear it, get it around one of the defenders. Beautifully done, but Hoosh able to boop it back into play on UNR's side of the pitch.
Boise is just biding their time, though. That was a good clear from UNR. Let's find a way to make more out of it, and this could be it, actually. A miss. Ooh. And Crispy off the back wall doesn't find a teammate before the defense gets there, and that's a short-lived offensive for UNR.
But it looked dangerous. It looked deadly. You can tell when they get the opportunity to strike, they are going to take it. And Boise State really going to have to pay attention and make sure that their defense is firing on as many cylinders as their offense has been so far. But right now, we're almost a minute and a half in. Only one goal on the board. So things seem to have slowed down here. UNR maybe finding a bit of a solution here to what's being thrown at them by Boise State.
Their defense certainly has solidified. They're forcing BSU to play a bit more calculated in the offensive end, which is great because now the pace of play benefits a team that might not be as mechanically gifted as we've seen Boise State definitely is. Although UNR still need to get shots on target in this. A real opportunity to hustle there. Tunloik get around it, and they will find their opener 1-1.
That was absolutely beautiful right there. Tunloik able to just knock it back towards the goal. Didn't even need anybody to help him. He was there. There wasn't enough boost for Hoosh to get back, and that's going to tie up the series at or rather the game at 1 apiece.
There are mistakes in the BSU rotation. Double commit right there leads to the goal, and those are what UNR has to feast upon, it seems. They got to make sure they pick up those morsels and turn it into a healthy meal because that's how you beat BSU right now.
Absolutely. Oh, Gil goes for the flip reset, but just misjudges the fall of the ball barely. Now that's going to yield an opportunity for UNR to drive it down to their side of the pitch. A little bit of a double commit there coming from them, but they've still got the ball in a dangerous spot. Shot comes in, but it's a little bit wide for Reno once again.
Another double commit in defense, but Boise State finds the read, and that's an open net. Hoosh still can't catch up to it, and Tunloik makes the save on the pass across. That should have been 2-1, but too hard a touch, and it ends up costing BSU there.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity gone by for them, but now they're gonna have to switch their sights on defense because once again, University of Reno putting up a lot of dangerous shots. Another one comes in. Beautiful play by Tunloik to give Reno a lead in this match.
How about that? UNR needed a player to step up, and Tunloik has in the first 3 minutes of game 2, putting UNR in the lead for what I believe is the first time in this series. That was a gorgeous play. Again, capitalizing on too hard a touch off the back line. I think it was Gil that didn't keep control of the ball, and UNR was all over it.
That they were. Hoosh going to be trying to drop the ball back into Boise's corner, seeing if they can make it out of there, but instead it's going to be Wild's Night pushing the ball forward back towards Boise State. A lofty shot coming in. Is it gonna make it? Are they there in time? They absolutely are. Chris P puts an insurance goal on the board.
This is what I was talking about in between games 1 and 2. Having a player down the field to pass to UNR, you can tell they've gained more confidence with those 2 goals that Tunloik put in because Wild's Night down the pitch waiting on Crispy's clear, and it ends up turning into a goal. Boise State wasn't quite ready for it, and now they're the ones that have to adapt to a new and improved UNR, and there's a passing play to start off those adaptations.
Oh, that was a beautiful pass over to Hoosh. Unfortunately, had to drop it above the net, unable to follow up on it. But now another great opportunity here from Reno. They've shown how deadly they are in front of the goal. But an open net situation, and Lions just knocks it in.
Still double commit on the back wall, but I will totally forgive Boise State because they've got the ball to Lions perfectly. Again, waiting down the field. UNR has shown Boise State how it's done, and now Boise State doing it right back to 90 seconds left, down a goal. You got to be careful here, UNR. Boise can hit hard.
That they can. Lions with a high-flying aerial dribble. Beautiful shot. I think he even got the flip reset in there to tie it at 3 apiece.
Well, there's hitting hard and then there's hitting harder. Lions just
Yeah.
slammed that ball home, perfectly placed as well. Absolutely perfect on the shot. I mean, that's just pretty.
Yeah, that was a nasty flip reset right there. They did, in fact, get it right before the goal. So, huge mechanical plays coming out here from Boise State tonight. But Tunloik not going to be deterred, starting to drive the ball back up the field. They've tasted what victory could feel like here. They've had the lead, and they want to gain it again in these waning 60 seconds of the second game.
We'll see what Gil can do here. A demo, I think, tagged Tunloik, but didn't have the speed to blow up that nicely painted Dominus. So a clear found by UNR, and right back at you, says Hoosh. 0 boost, though, and they'll get a touch on the ball, but Crispy wins that exchange. Center ball for Tunloik, 50 taken. Center ball once more. Wilds Knight just a little bit off on that shot.
That was deadly. What a shot coming out from them. A little bit of a double commit there in front of the goal by Boise State, but they seem to have handled it relatively well. Now I've got Hoosh with an aerial dribble here, gets an aerial contest, but they're able to get it past him. Fortunately for them, Tunloik is there to deny any possibility of moving the ball forward once again. Hoosh picking it back up, drops it into Reno's corner, but gonna be booped back over to Reno's side of the field. Just a little bit of ping pong happening really at the moment right now.
Until Crispy puts it off the back wall. Rebound.
What?
No good. Good save by Gil right there. Keeping a level head on 0 seconds. And we might see OT should this ball drop in the orange corner. Tunloik lets it alone. And we do get to OT in game 2.
Now, Boise State has been deadly off of the kickoff here. Let's see what they can make happen. Hoosh goes up for an aerial dribble. He's going to drop it down for a pass. Beautiful shot from Gil. And that'll be a sudden death win for Boise State. 8 seconds into OT.
Well, I wish someone had started off that OT by saying that Boise State was lethal off of kickoffs, because they were. That's a pretty dangerous play, if I do say so myself. The quick beat, the pressure in net, and then the perfectly placed shot to cap off that game 2 with a win.
Yeah, what's been amazing to me so far is just how well Boise has been able to read the situations off the kickoff and just been able to be in the positions they need to be in. Honestly, I think that's, again, another testament to their passing game, right? Their passing game is so strong. Some of these goals have looked relatively simple, right? It didn't look like they were doing anything special, but what they have been doing that's special is passing the ball phenomenally well. They're hitting each other from across the field sometimes.
And that in conjunction with their aerial prowess, I mean, each individual player for BSU creates so much agency for their offense with their ability to make space, beat defenders with just flip resets, speedy air dribbles, and just being faster to read where that ball is going and then beat whoever's attacking first for UNR. It's so difficult to play against a team with speed like Boise State has. And UNR did a decent job of slowing things down in that second game and then capitalizing on defensive errors that the Broncos were committing in the blue end. So if that continues, if BSU doesn't shore up those mistakes in defense, UNR has openings, but you got to somehow still stop that Boise State attack that has now put up 4 goals in 2 straight games.
You're absolutely right. Now, one thing I do have to comment on about UNR, right, is they came out with 7 shots on goal last game versus Boise State's 5. So UNR, they figured out a way to put a lot of pressure now on BSU. So they can continue to manifest those opportunities into goals, then they have an excellent shot at coming back and reverse sweeping this series. But Boise State, we know they are no strangers to competition, high-stakes games. And so they're going to be on the money here. They're going to be on the game. They're going to be paying attention and just waiting for an opportunity to present itself like they have been this entire time.
Nice dodge, nice beat. Wilds Knight gets themselves a 1v1 with Hoosh. Actually, it's more of a 3v2 as more cars enter the fray as the play slowed down. Hoosh, though, still makes the save, and we'll get out of defense for half a second. Crispy right back into the blue end. Boise State still defending. Lions all alone, but they're able to collect, get the ball to the sidewall. Tunloik bumps Hoosh. That net's open, but Tunloik couldn't put it in themselves. Not sure what happened right there. Wilds Knight will try their hand at scoring, but it looked like UNR was inches first goal of game 3.
Yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful bit of aggressive play coming out from UNR. But right now, Boise State has found their footing. They've got the ball. Well, at least they had it back in Nevada's point of the pitch, but a nice shot is deflected there by Boise State. Now a breakaway opportunity here. Lions unable to get to it right in time. Crispy was there to deny them any opportunity and making a play. Nice flick, but Gill is there to deny the goal.
A lot more pressure again for UNR than Boise State through the first 90, now 100 seconds of gameplay, but they don't have anything to show for it just yet, except Boise State has 0 shots, and that's always a nice sight. Lions trying to change that, though. The drop down ball, no one there to score it, and so Tunneling going to find a clear, but Boise State starting to get that offensive rotation churning.
Yeah, that they are. Nice shot comes in from Gill, beats the defender to it, dunks it in to give Boise a 1-0 lead. With 2 minutes expired in the game.
And I think that was Boise State. Yeah, that was their first shot of the game, and it's a goal. And that's how quickly they can hit you. You would best be scoring when you have your opportunities, because Boise State can flip a game on its head, even when they're defending for 90% of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The quality of shots that are coming in from Boise State are absolutely impeccable right now. Nice demo comes out there. Gonna be Lions dropping back for the ball, seeing if they can keep anything out of a passing distance for UNR. Lions now picks it back up towards the midfield, bounces it towards the center. Gonna be cleared, but bounced back by Hoosh. Opportunity for Lions. Can they make it? They thread the needle and find the second goal.
That was just a couple of bad mistakes by UNR on their defensive end. Wilds Knight couldn't catch up to the ball there, couldn't put a touch on it after their 2 teammates double commit, and Boise State's all over it. I mean, mistakes like that, they happen, but that is a bad spot to have them happen. Game 3, when you've got a real chance at staging a comeback in this series, you can't be giving insurance away for free.
Exactly, you really can't, especially again not against a team like Boise.
No.
Ooh, that's going to be a nice opportunity there for Reno, but Hoosh is able to clear the ball to the side and also drive it back up the field too. Falls over into a couple defenders. They double commit on the ball, but fortunately for UNR, one player was still there in front of the goal to clear it. Now another opportunity here from Hoosh, but everybody comes for the ball in the middle, and it's anybody's game at this point.
Feels like a sense of panic on the side of UNR, and I can see why. Nice dunk by Gill, but there was a double commit in the midfield that gave Gill that much space to clear, and Crispy not quite set to receive that clearance.
No, they weren't. Ball just slowly bounces into the goal, but nothing again UNR could do about it. They've been shut out so far this game. Biggest point differential I think we've seen since game 1. That could have been deadly right there. Fortunately for Boise, Lions was right there to keep the ball from just getting lasered into the net off the kickoff. Speaking about off the kickoff, once again, Boise State with a great opportunity. Gill has to back up for the ball. Bounces it over to defender perfectly for Hoosh to follow up.
How killer is that? Gill just sits there, allows Crispy to go waltzing on by. Wilds Knight a little bit faster than a waltz. That was more of a jog on pass, but regardless, sets the ball up perfectly for Hoosh. And Boise State kind of running away with game 3. I don't think they're too pleased about being taken to OT in the second game of this series.
No, they're leaving no doubts in anyone's mind as to how powerful of a team this is. But right now, Reno has an opportunity to maybe make something happen here, and with 90 seconds left to go, 4 goals is absolutely doable here in Rocket League. But right now, Reno's going to have to get the ball away from Boise as they've got control of it down in their corner. Here comes Gill for a shot. Is it going to go in? It bounces off the side, and the defense is there this time.
UNR is going to have to eclipse their total goals found this series to win this game. They've only scored 4 in between games 1 and 2. Now they need 5 in 60 seconds, no less. This is a near impossible task. They're playing Rocket League on the hardest of difficulties. At the moment, there's a chance, but Lions played patiently, and that's really all Boise State has to do at this point to secure their series win.
The ball being contested in the midfield right now. Hoosh, though, able to send it towards the goal. That means one defender has to be in front of it. Has the ball now. They're able to get it around Lions. Gill misses it as well. That's going to be up to Hoosh, who goes for an aerial dribble. Going to see if they can make a shot of it. The follow-up is there, but the defense is too. 30 seconds left to go.
Oh, I love that redirection. Hoosh somehow put that ball on target. Are you kidding me? I was prepared to just compliment Gil's first touch here and then leave it at that. And then Hoosh goes ahead and scores on a pre-flip.
What?
I mean, that's just pretty. Come on.
Yeah. I don't know how he twisted his car to get that angle on the goal from where he was, but they were able to do it. And now 20 seconds left to go. Again, UNR not going to be able to come back in this one. This is going to be Boise State with a quick 3-0 against UNR. But hey, getting a goal here in the last 10, that's good for something. And honestly, University of Reno going up against this this caliber of a team this well speaks very highly of them.
For one of the best teams on the western side of the United States collegiately in Rocket League, UNR played them very, very nicely. And I do have to as well, this isn't gameplay wise, but fashion wise, I love Tunloink's card choices. Changed every single game in this series, and each one of them more stylish than the last. So UNR wins that battle, but Boise State does win the series.
Yeah, and a great showing from them. Everything we've come to expect from the Boise State Rocket League squad. And again, a great showing from Nevada, but it's not going to be enough to do it this time around. Looking at the stats as well, again, so many demos coming out from Boise State, and they slightly eclipsed Reno in shots on goal again. But the defense for Boise was just stellar this time around.
It was. They only allowed 5 that entire series, and they scored 5 in Game 3. This is definitely a killer, well-rounded team in the Boise State Broncos, and they showed it in this series. I think we've just witnessed some contenders in this Mountain West Rocket League.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will be having I believe, an interview coming up here soon. Hopefully, we're checking in with Boise State at the moment, but we are going to throw it to a break very quickly, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
What they're looking for, like in not only in the collegiate esports team, but in school as well, and like see, like exactly does this line up with what they really want, and just to figure out what they really want, and if it's going to be a good decision, you know, from like a scholarly standpoint and from like a financial standpoint, because there's a lot of things to consider. You know, like I thought it over a lot before I realized, okay, yes, this is a really good decision, I should go for this. You know, so that's something that should be considered. And also like the time frame as well, because if you commit yourself to a collegiate team, it could potentially be a long time, you know. So just consider it and think through like all your options, and don't ever make don't ever make a decision just off like an emotional reaction or anything like that. Just like, you know, think it through, I guess.
So for you personally, how many hours do you think you game a week?
That's a good question. It's actually way less than it used to be, but before I would be putting in probably several hours a day into Smash. About a year ago, I was like really, really grinding it and put a lot of effort into it. But lately, like my priorities have shifted just a little bit. Just because there's other things I need to focus on. Like I started working again recently and stuff like that. So it's taken a little bit of a backseat, but it's always something I focus on. So like, even though I'm not necessarily playing all the time right now, I still try to get at least 30 to 60 minutes in a day. But I've been really busy lately, so it hasn't been looking like that lately. But if I'm not doing that, then there's still other stuff that kind of goes into it. Like I do a lot of research on mentality stuff and like stuff like meditation and stuff. So if I'm not gaming or whatever, there's still other things that I feel like is going towards my improvement at the game.
Could you expand a little bit on like meditating and how that helps you?
Yeah, so with a game like Smash, it can be like really volatile, and one of the reasons why I pursued Smash is because, well, I've always liked it since a young age, but also it's always been like really challenging. Like Smash 4 came out, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start competing with Smash 4, and I started playing it. For whatever reason, when I started playing it, like I realized that I was getting like frustrated, you know, like I was like kind of getting a little bit angry, and like anger is something I don't really feel very often. So it was kind of like a challenge for me. I'm like, okay, this is really challenging. This game is really hard. I want to figure out how to do this. Like I want to challenge myself. And that was a lot of reason why I did that in Smash. Just like some other things, like it can be comparable to kind of like chess and tennis in a way with like mentality aspects. And I used to play tennis in high school, and I was never really like super good at it, but I was like I was really into it whenever I was playing for some reason. And there was a lot of frustration in that too back in high school when I played. So it was figuring out how to manage that frustration and how to like get it under control and actually channel it into something useful. Because one of my goals is always to be like, I want to be like a calm and collected person when I play. I like, even though I'm an emotional person, I can be an emotional person because I'm passionate and I care a lot about it. But that's kind of where the meditation comes in, because it lets you kind of be more like at one with yourself and your emotions and how you feel, and stuff like that. And also just kind of eases your mind a bit, and it can really help in those situations. Like if you practice meditation and then you're in game and you're playing, and there's a situation where it's like super high tense situation, it can kind of give yourself the advantage, because you might be a lot more calm than your opponent if you do practice stuff like meditation. And it just has a bunch of other benefits as well, because with something like Smash, I try to be like the best I can be in game and like out of game. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I feel like if I improve everything that I can to the best of my ability, then it gives me like the highest chances to win, like in the game.
I know you speak about frustration and anger, but what about nerves? Like, do you get nervous?
Every now and then I definitely do get a little bit nervous. A lot of the things, like a lot of the my nerves I kind of quell at this point, because I've been playing for like so long, where it's like if I go to a tournament, and I sit down, it's just me in the game, like it's just me in the match, and that's the goal, and it's just trying to learn and just play what's in front of me. But sometimes there are a little bit of nerves, like for example in Vegas, because I'm not very often playing on like big stages. Sometimes it's smaller tournaments, and at Vegas it was a bigger stage and there was a lot more people watching, so it was a bit more of a unique situation that I wasn't always in, and there was a little bit of nerves there, although it was a bit under control. But um, I think I definitely have the nerves mostly under control. And if there's a new situation like the stage one, I feel like just having more experience with that kind of stuff kind of help quells it. And also it's just because there's also other methods too, like telling yourself like, uh, like self-affirming stuff. I'm this is what I do. I'm just gonna go up there and play the game and do my best. And telling yourself that kind of stuff helps with nerves a lot too. So.
As a coach, do you tell those things to the people that you're coaching as well when they're nervous?
Welcome back to Esports Youth production of the Mountain West Rocket League. We've got Gil in the booth with us, who was just playing on your screens on the Boise State Rocket League roster. It looks to be a powerhouse. Gil, how you feeling after that win?
Feeling great, Feels good to always get a win, no matter what the opponent or what the league.
Excellent, excellent. Well, glad to hear it. First question from me. I'm just curious. University of Nevada, Reno, they seem to give you a little bit of trouble in game number 2, even going up by a couple of points. Can you tell me what it was that you all had to do to kind of turn things around and come out with a win in that second game?
I think for us, we kind of, after game 1, we kind of just got a little carried away, having a little too much fun. And I think after they scored that second goal, we were kind of like, all right, guys, just lock in, we'll be fine.
Excellent, excellent. And are there any particular matchups that you're really looking forward to coming up this season here in the Mountain West region? Any adversaries that you especially want to go up against and make your case against?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think every team's kind of the same. Got to treat them the same. I think for us, it's just kind of looking at every match, just going to the next one.
All right. I mean, in that previous match, I was kind of expecting appearances from Durtho and Instinct alongside you as well, the starting 3. But I mean, your teammates still played lights out all around. How deep is this Boise State Rocket League program?
Hugely deep for us. The way our director describes it, 6-man's roster in most leagues. So we always have anyone who can step up. It's always next man up, and everyone performs.
Well, that they did, Gil. That's all the questions I've got for you. Got any shout outs or anything? We might be seeing you again after you play in the next series, but anything before you dip out?
I don't know. Shout out to the program. So many people in this program work so hard to make wins like this possible and make matches like this happen. So just shout out to them, and then shout out to your production. You guys have been doing great.
Well, much
Oh, thank you.
appreciated. Go get ready for your next match.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, that was Gil. The Boise State roster played lights out that last series, and will probably play lights out again against Wyoming. It will be difficult for that Wyoming roster to stop the Broncos, but we'll be watching that series in just a little bit. Short break coming up. In the meantime, though, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Practice what I preach, and I do in my coaching. There's a lot of mentality coaching too, because uh, I feel like on a lot of I feel like it's a really interesting part of the game and just a part of life too. And I feel like it's not something people focus on a lot with coaching. I feel like a lot of coaching, they're focusing on technical aspects, in-game aspects. You know, like what can you do in the situation that can be better. But sometimes like mentality comes first, and they're not going to be able to make those steps and make those leaps without like making a change in their mentality first, or at least trying to make an improvement somewhere there. And there's a lot of different like perspectives for it, but yeah.
I really admire your mindset. That's really cool. A lot of the
Thank
gamers
you.
that I've talked to are like aggressive. It's
Thank you.
really cool to hear that. Switching gears a little bit, how do you feel about the CECC? What do you think about it? And do you think your team will go to Atlanta?
So far, I think it's been good. It's been fun, and I do think there's a very high chance we would go to Atlanta. With my mentality, like I was talking about before, sometimes I just go into it and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do my best and I'm gonna play, and that's really what comes down to it. But I am really confident in our team's ability. I think we have a really good set of guys that put a lot of work into it. So I'm very confident that we would likely go to Atlanta. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Then I just go from there.
Well, those are all the questions I had. So, is there anything else that you want the world to know about you or anything that you would like to end with?
I don't know, for anyone watching, like just try to find like a balance like in life, and try to find like who you are truly, and like follow that passion. Because just for like reference, I worked somewhere for 3 years, and then I felt like I wasn't being called to work there anymore, and like Smash was something I always cared about and always wanted to do. So I quit work, and with the money I had saved up, I pursued Smash for like a year and a half, and like that phase just kind of ended. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. Like I wasn't like making a lot of money through it, but it was something I was passionate about, something I wanted to do. And I'm really glad that I did it, and I hope that other people can consider like following their passions like that, but also with proceeding like with caution, doing what is available to them, and just finding like who they are and what makes them happy, I guess.
Thank you so much again for your time and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Is that we don't have these preconceived notions, and we're willing to listen to our membership and read the room, read college athletics and how it's connected and how it's not, and take what we have expertise in championships, but also throw out some of the other stuff. I remember when we first started, there were some conferences were applying their amateurism rules to all of their esports competitors, and I think we knew enough to know that no, that's not going to work in an esports culture. It's got to be very different. And by the way, the NCAA was going in a different direction. You could see the train had already left the station on that, and so it's an incredibly dynamic area and ever changing, and will continue to change. And just as we didn't know when we started what it's going to be looking like, I think similarly we still don't know what it's going to be in another 5 years. I know enough to know that all of us are still going to have a thriving esports program that's doing a real good service for our members and for our competitors. But we still don't know necessarily what some of that is going to look like, and that's pretty cool about it all. Let me ask you this, because you all are used to dealing with your athletic directors, and each of them are dealing with what's in front of them in their athletic departments. My guess is at least some of your schools are that this is not necessarily operating within the athletic department. And can you talk about how you navigate that in a conference office, and maybe the best way to handle that, or do you have preferences? Do you try to steer them one way or the other? And just talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Sure. the majority of our schools are not under the athletics umbrella. We have one institution that perhaps by next year will be under the auspices of athletics, but most of them are in other departments across campus. One of the things that has helped us is that we have support from the president's office. And so in order to participate in Mountain West events, you have to have an adult non-student administrator that oversees that, you know, the eSport program. And that's where we get assistance with, you know, eligibility checks and, you know, please complete your roster, things like that. I don't know in the future, and it depends on, you know, who's sitting in the athletics director's chairs, whether or not more esport teams will go under the umbrella of athletics. And I'm kind of indifferent in terms of whether it should, because I don't want esports to go down the road that some conventional sports have gone down with the NCAA. So we have a unique opportunity to kind of craft esports in a way that fits what esports is, as opposed to trying to fit it into a conventional athletics box, so to speak.
Right. You know, I think the success of our program and getting participation is exactly that. The fact that we're not tying it in necessarily to athletics and NCAA eligibility. Like Carolyn, we probably have 3 or 4 schools that are under athletics. And I know it puts them in a difficult position sometimes trying to make some decisions. I got a request recently to consider allowing part-time students to participate during this year, because some schools struggle sometimes to fill out all the games that they want to play with us. And we held off on that for now. You know, we defer to the institution and say, what's your policy for those that are under student development or activities? What's your policy for allowing students to participate? And if you certify that they're eligible under your current policies, then that's good for us. I also think, and I was part of some of the conversations early on with the NCAA years ago about the NCAA getting involved as a Division II representative, and I was crossing my fingers that wouldn't happen, just because I think this needs time to grow, you know, and expand.
Can I ask Bob a question? Because you mentioned part-time enrollment, and one of the things that we've done here is that as a conference, we've just set eligibility standards, full-time enrollment, making progress towards your degree as the institution defines it. Are you guys doing something like that as well? Because we've gotten that part-time enrollment question and we've said no.
Yeah, no, I don't think we've gotten that far down the line, Carolyn, to ask for that. I think we kind of put it on the institution, but we do say that the student has to be a full-time. Now, they could be a full-time grad student, but they have to be full-time as from what the institution decides.
Yeah, our eligibility requirements are just as simple as can be. You have to be a full-time student in good standing.
Yes.
And after that, and that's about it. Now I think we wanted as few impediments to getting this thing rolling as possible in the outset. I do think as schools get more competitive, they will start to distrust one another, and that's why we have this 500-page NCAA manual, because schools distrust one another. But we're not there yet. You know, right now there's still a collective. Let's move this forward, and the fact that the NCAA is not administering it, I think, is really helpful to the growth of it all. And yes, we allow grad students. We don't even have a 4 or 5 year clock. If you are full-time enrolled for 10 years in good standing, you can do, and why not? Why would we not say that that's okay? Now, eventually, like I said, we may change our minds if the schools require it. They say, no, this is crazy. Look what they're doing over there. We don't like, you know, but I think we're still a long way from that. Alex, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that really Carolyn has said. You know, you're gonna have to forgive me. What was the original question? It's been a minute. I know. I'm sorry.
Well, just kind of what you set out to do, and then what maybe the realities of it all.
And there's so many other jobs as well that
That's
can
right.
translate out of this experience in esports. the only path is not just as a player. I think all of us are representative of jobs in esports, but it mirrors traditional sports in pretty much the same way. You've got, broadcasters, you've got production people, you've got marketing and sales, and now NIL and things like that. But really, esports is kind of a great accelerator for a lot of new businesses that are coming up in the metaverse and Web3, and there's a lot of new technology that is going to be needed. And so these STEM students that are also esports athletes are really the future workforce and leaders of tomorrow. And us, as well as all of our brand partners that we work with, really recognize this. And I think that's really, a key driver of why brands are in this space. They want to be part of building that future workforce and leadership and shaping it and supporting it. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting space to watch.
And we offer such a big, we offer such a big counterpart to traditional sports also, because it's a counterpart, but it's also the same, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you're traditional sports and they're done after their 2-a-day workout and they're done after their practice scrim, they're coming home to play Call of Duty and relax and put their feet up and get a drink and play video games. It grows their...
Mountain West Rocket League has returned here on the Esports U channel. We've got Boise State again, hot off of a pretty dominant 3-0 victory we just saw against University of Nevada in Reno, a juggle god. Now they take on Wyoming.
That they do, and I am excited to see what this is going to bring, because I think the styles of these two teams are going to be really exciting to watch, right? Because in University of Wyoming, we got a couple players I'm really in particular going to be watching out for. First off is Unicorn, right? A very aggressive, demo-heavy player, and, that was one of the pieces of the puzzle that I felt maybe University of Nevada, Reno was missing in that last game. So if we can see a lot of those demos come out, especially on someone like Gil for Boise State, then I think we can absolutely see some great opportunities presented by Wyoming. In addition, they've got another fantastic player, Aparo, who is really a jack of all trades. So to me, they're kind of like the glue that's going to be holding this team together. They're going to be able to strike. They're going to be able to score. They're going to be able to drop back and make beautiful saves as well. So this University of Wyoming team, I think, has a really solid shot of coming away with a victory here today over Boise State. But again, not a short order at all. Very, very difficult to do.
I mean, we saw that with UNR in the previous series because they played a great best of 5. They just came up a little bit short, a little bit too often. So a tall order for the University of Wyoming. And they've been taken out already. Lions has a flip reset already. This is looking dangerous, but the save is made and the rebound blocked away.
Yeah, and again, that's quintessential Boise State right there, coming off of the kickoff with such a beautiful opportunity to goal. And kudos to Wyoming, having their heads on their shoulders, reading the situation right, and being able to be where they need to be in time to keep the ball out of the net. Now Vicious going to try and drive it away, but a nice redirect there from Boise State. Going to keep it back for at least a moment. Vicious tries to cut the ball into the goal, but cuts it just a little too wide. Nice shot comes in, but Gil is there to deny.
Oh, but the rebound from Vicious is perfect. I gotta watch this again just to see how they got around the ball, because that's not a terrible touch from Gil as Lions is right there. I think they just misread it a little bit too much, and that invited a shot and ultimately the opening goal.
And that is exactly, again, how Vicious likes to play. This is a player who can score times and places you just never even expected it. And again, right off the kickoff, taking a page out of Boise State's book. They are up 2-0.
Well, Gil took a demo with one of the Wyoming players in the center circle, and that recoiled, took them out of the play completely, and opened up that shooting lane. So great awareness by Vicious off kickoff to go ahead and score the second goal. It's always nice to have a lead, let alone a cushion against Boise State. Well, the lead's still intact, but the cushion has certainly fallen away.
Yeah, that's exactly what you got to watch out for here with Boise State. Lions picks up that ball perfectly off of Vicious, who just tried to clear it, was unable to get any speed really on that ball. And now lead cut in half, and we're back to another kickoff. And honestly, Wyoming has looked even more deadly than Boise off the kickoff so far.
Well, 3 goals in the first minute. Both teams looking pretty deadly, but I am happy to see that the face-off shenanigans about even here. That was a nice shot from Hoosh. If it's about 2 feet to the right, and now Boise State going to set up their offense from the outside looking in. Gill's shot denied by Unicorn.
A bit of a double commit there on the ball by Boise State as well, getting caught up in Wyoming's corner. An opportunity for Hoosh, but the ball's flicked right over his head. Gill has to take it on the wall, and a beautiful bit of dribbling they did to try and keep it in play. Lions goes up for it, but it's going to be Unicorn who gets there first.
Oh, nice pop. Lions, the drop down. Hoosh to receive. The double tap for Boise. No good, but the rebound certainly available as the third man was on the backboard there for Wyoming. Trying to read there the potential double tap. That was such clinical offense. Boise looking clean here in their second series of the day.
And that they are. They have negated the lead, that early lead that Wyoming gave themselves. 2 apiece now, and not even 2 minutes off the clock. Both of these teams, their offenses are just firing on all cylinders.
That's great news for Wyoming because Boise State averaged just above 4 goals per game in the last series, and it's looking to be the case here as 2 have already been scored by both sides, granted, before halftime. So big offense is going to have to be the key, I think, to taking down Boise State University, and so far Wyoming keeping pace, but they have to continue to do that, and having good defense certainly helps.
It absolutely does. Nice potential shot coming out there, but Hoosh is able to redirect it, and a laser shot on the ground from Vicious again. All 3 goals now have been scored by this player.
That's a mistake. Hoosh just coughed that ball up, and Vicious was right there to collect. So nice positioning, and Boise State down in this game once more, but their comeback potential always a factor. Wyoming still has to stay solid.
Ooh, nice demo coming out there as well, giving a little bit of an opportunity to Boise, at least to regroup since the ball was back towards their goal. Keeping it in play, though, is University of Wyoming. They're not going to let the pressure up. Lions is able to finally break through it a little bit. Gill tries to flick the ball over Aparo, but Aparo gets the touch first. Hoosh finds it in the middle, but that just sets it up beautifully for Unicorn to drive it into the goal.
Another just letting the ball alone. Lions tapped that and didn't do much with the play, and perfectly placed shot because I think Gill's actually saving that if the ball doesn't go off the crossbar and go in. Yep. So well done by Unicorn to not just be there to put a shot on target, but to put the perfect shot on target and get a 2-goal lead reinstated for Wyoming.
Yeah, they wanted it back and they have it now. Lions gonna try and drive it up the field, but Aparo's able to drop back and gain control of it, even fighting off the pressure from Gill. Lions picks it back up. Nice passing play back over to Hoosh in the corner. Can they center it again? It's going to be Hoosh who tries to redirect it, but only sends it to the side. Now Boise State has to drop back and play defense once again. Hoosh does find it, though, and gets a nice clear there. An excellent demo as well. That gives an opportunity here for Boise. But already that time has expired, and the player is back on the field. Who's trying to get it out of this corner, but Wyoming is doing just a great job of clogging up the works on offense for Boise. Haven't really seen many opportunities present themselves so far. It seems like there's always somebody from Wyoming ready to clear the ball.
No, Wyoming is playing perfectly with their 2-goal lead right now. They're just taking challenge for challenge, being wary up until double commit situations. That's dangerous. Boise in for the shot, and they will score. Got a little weird there on the Wyoming goal line, and that will cause what was a solid defensive rotation to collapse.
Yeah, look at that. Hoosh and Lions both miss it, only barely, but Gill, again, able to read the situation well enough to come in from the back, that third man, and drive the ball in, cutting that lead down to 1 minute left to go here. Can Boise State come away with it? We got a double tap into the goal from Lions. They absolutely do, tying it up at 4 apiece.
Lions made that look so incredibly easy. Used every last drop of boost in their tank to put that shot on, and it had the power to get past the, I guess, first defender there, because Wyoming was miles out of the play there for a second. So we're tied up. Boise State, that comeback potential once again rearing its ugly head if you're Wyoming, but a gorgeous head if you're a Boise State fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Aparo trying to drive the ball back down the field, but intercepted by Lions, who's able to get a little bit of distance now on it. Ball, though, just as quickly back towards Boise State's net. Nice block there and follow up from Hoosh. Tries to pinch it out of the corner there, gets a little bit of momentum on it, but once again finds itself back towards the Boise State side of the pitch. Hoosh just unable to quite get control of that ball. Leaves it for a follow-up for Gill, who again is beat to it. Lions comes away with a beautiful save right there as well. 10 seconds left to go in regulation. Are we going to see a nice aerial shot coming in? Got to be disrupted. Nice aerial defense there from Wyoming. Shot little bit wide. Can they find the angle that they need? Got to pitch it out of the corner. Hits the ground. We are in OT.
Okay, there was a chance for Wyoming to win that there. A very outside chance, but they almost got it in regulation. And now off kickoff, oh dear, the Boise State special. Hoosh had some space to work with, but Vicious smart to close that down ASAP. Now a 1v1. They won't beat Lions, but in comes the second man of both sides, Unicorn and Gill. And Gill won't be used. Unicorn does nicely to keep the ball in play. The second time as well. This is a good start to OT for Wyoming, but they don't come away with anything. And now Boise State trying to move forward.
Oh, Hoosh misreads that ball. That's going to allow Wyoming to pick it up. Lions now going with an aerial dribble. Passes it to Hoosh. Beautiful pass and shot to close out the series for Boise State once again.
Absolutely gorgeous pass using the ceiling to pinch it center for Hoosh. And Hoosh to have the trust in Lions to put that ball in the infield. That's... I keep getting more and more impressed with this Boise State roster the more and more that I watch it. And this isn't even the main starting three. I mean, Gill was right when he was saying that this Boise State Rocket League program is incredibly deep.
They really are. You know, this is just a powerhouse of a squad.
Yep.
But speaking of powerhouses, I want to draw the attention to Vicious once again. This sneaky shooter, right? 4 shots on goal, every single one of them. Oh, no. 4 shots on goal, 3 of them went in. So, you know, if Wyoming can keep enabling Vicious, then this game could go, this match could go either way.
Definitely, they did a great job of creating their own opportunities, even amid the Boise State attack. And, I mean, twice in that game, we saw Wyoming with a 2-goal lead. The only difference being their defense couldn't quite keep up with their offensive production. I mean, Boise State makes it very hard for you to defend for a full 5 minutes and not concede 4 goals. I mean, we haven't seen a game tonight out of the 4 that we've watched where Boise State scored less than 4 goals. And Wyoming, they were there to figure out a way to make 2 more saves to stay afloat a little bit longer and take those 2-goal leads to the bank, but a lot easier said than done.
It certainly is. But this matchup, this is neck and neck. University of Wyoming absolutely showing themselves, I think, to be a top contender here in the Mountain West region. So let's see what game number 2 is going to bring us here, Mr. Bepic, as we are at kickoff.
I hope it brings more goals, and, well, my wish being granted almost immediately. Kickoff goal for Boise State. Stop me if you've heard that story before. Nicely done by Gill and Hoosh.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way Hoosh just dances around the defenders right there and finds the perfect angle to just knock it into the goal. 3 seconds in, and it's already 1-0.
Picking up right where they left off. Boise State now on a streak of 4 straight goals scored against Wyoming, and that streak now broken, though it was due in large part to 2 Boise State players that kind of put that one in their own net.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of an overcommit towards that ball. Hoosh, I think, should have been playing a little further back there. Great attempt by Gill, but, you know, there was no chance anyone was dropping back for that ball. University of Wyoming read that beautifully, and now tied at 1, and with 10 seconds, I think? Within 10 seconds, there have been 2 goals.
Yep, I didn't really have to ask these players to keep scoring goals, but they certainly did listen. And we almost got a 3rd right there. Gill, not too often missing opportunities like those, and now rushing back. That shot from Unicorn looking a bit scary for Boise State, but they'll do all right to get out. Nice combination play to clear the zone.
One thing that I think Wyoming is doing very, very well is they're able to turn on a dime and transition from their defense to their offense in a split second, and that's really catching Boise State off guard right now. I don't think they're ready for it. A nice potential pass off the backboard there. from Unicorn, unable to get it in. Hoosh now going to see if they can get the double tap. They're able to keep it in play. Lions tries to follow it up, but just unable to find the angle that they need.
I thought Gil was going to put that in. That was so close, and Gil's been a playmaker all series is long, still trying to make plays happen. It's a good 51, but this should be the first to it. Lions, fresh off a respawn, will clear the zone, finding Hoosh down the field, who will find Gil back up the field, who will put the ball across the field, where Lions isn't quite yet, so Wyoming going to take over possession-wise, but they are stuffed by Boise State. It's becoming more and more difficult to score goals here. The defense is maybe finally solidifying.
Yeah, it looks like they are. We've gone almost a minute and a half now.
Wow.
Without seeing a goal come in, with 2 in the first 10 seconds. So definitely both teams, I think, are starting to kind of settle down and figure out their defense. A little bit of a breakaway here, though, potentially for Boise State.
Not going to find anything, though. And it's becoming tougher for them to work the ball forward. These challenges from Wyoming doing a great job of taking away space that Boise State is very keen on snatching up to put in their own back pockets. That's a big clear from Vicious. The corner wall read, not good, but they had Hoosh to contend with. And I think from Aparo keeps the ball in play. Not sure what's going on right there. We're getting weird on the Boise State side this time around. But a zone will be cleared once again, if only for a second. And Boise State, they're still in control.
Yeah, they have to drop it back into their corner rather than trying to get it down the field. But now, with a demo coming in and a nice clear, they do have an opportunity, but Aparo is on it. Gil, nice clear there as well. That's going to be Unicorn dropping back to get the ball. They should be able to come out of it with a nice aerial dribble here, even getting the flip reset, dancing around one of the defenders, but Gil reads the situation and is there to stop things from moving further for Boise.
No counterattacks allowed, though. This is a no counterattack zone being employed by University of Wyoming. They're the ones controlling the play. They're the ones controlling the possession clock at the moment. And BSU, who looked so good in transition in the last series, has not been allowed to do much of anything the last several minutes when clearing their own end. But Gil's definitely the player to change that, and if they have 100 in the tank, then maybe they do something there. But at the very least, setting up teammates for success once more, and that's a nice web of passes being weaved, though. The University of Wyoming defense has it red.
That they do. Gil just barely misreads that shot as well, flying a little bit over it. Both Lions and Hoosh drop back for the ball. Now they've got a little bit more of an opportunity to make something happen. Nice pass off the wall, almost to themselves for a goal. Gil goes up for the aerial contest, but they're unsuccessful. Try to get control of the ball is Boise State. Finally, Hoosh attempts that, gets it successfully, but is demoed in the process.
Miss from Lions as well, going to give even more time of possession to University of Wyoming. Rule 1 being employed in the corner right now. Unicorn and Gil all locked up. So temporary 2v2. We'll see how long it lasts. Not long at all. Lions takes that ball coast to coast and turns in a lead for Boise State.
Yeah, they just got a great breakaway right there. They had the boost, and Wyoming did not. They were able to just chase the ball down and knock it into the goal. Easy as that. 53 seconds remaining. Wyoming has to strike back now.
It was Boise State doing all of the coming back in game number 1. Now, Wyoming having to do a little bit of that. Double commit early for Boise State. So they'll have to rush back quickly. And Hoosh was being hounded there on their own end of the pitch. But they do well to escape, slow down the pace of play. And final 35 seconds now. Boise State starting to pick it up just a little bit.
It's going to be an aerial dribble there. Drops down, though, to Lions, who's going to try and contest it, but there's 2 defenders there. Hoosh comes in, but again, the defense from University of Wyoming keeping it out of harm's way. Gil gets a center, but there's nobody there to follow it up, and possession just yielded completely over to Wyoming, dropping back to prevent a possible open net situation. Gil going to try and drop in for it. Lions now with the shot. 1 second left to go. They make it 3-1.
Boise State looked like the underdog in this game for a large chunk of it. And that's the first time I've seen a team look better than BSU in any stretch of the series and a half that I've watched of theirs tonight. Nicely done to Wyoming to keep it close like that, but they just weren't able to do enough with the possession that they were given, and Boise State held to under 4 goals for the first time tonight. So impressive stat there, but I think Wyoming wants the game win a bit more, and I'm getting worried, Joe God, that this 0-second play going to be the end of my nice little statistic point that I was just making.
It could be. Both of these teams are not letting the ball hit the ground. This is a great showing from both of them. A pass off the wall from Unicorn, but Lions will ground it in the end, giving the win again to Boise State.
It's just so difficult to put Boise away, though. Game number 1 was definitely the one where Wyoming had the best look at doing it, and even though they controlled possession, only 3 shots on target. I'm a bit surprised by that because it felt like Wyoming was a bit more productive, but maybe recency bias infecting my brain for this game too, because it was last minutes 3 and 4 of gameplay were really dominated by Wyoming, but maybe outside of that, Boise just poured on the pressure, and my brain's making me forget that.
No, I think you're right, though. I think Wyoming really did have possession more often than not in that game, and, you know, that's not necessarily something I think that we've seen that's unusual coming out against this Boise State squad. I think even University of Nevada, Reno was able to equal them in possession or even best them. But again, it's just the opportunities that Boise State is able to generate are of such high quality that they're able to capitalize on them very easily in each of these games. So, you know, it's not all about possession. It's not all about, you know, keeping the ball and keeping the pressure. You have to find those opportunities.
Boise State did 8 shots, even with the low possession numbers. But I'm going to move past my bewilderment in Game 2 because this is a must-win game for Wyoming. So now I'm very interested in the adjustments that they made because it felt like they were playing a bit differently in Game 2 as well, controlling the ball a bit better, maybe a bit slower in offense. But Game 3, they have to do something else, perhaps. Maybe just play better. I'm not sure what you do to beat Boise State.
Wow.
If I was, I'd be a coach somewhere. But Vicious scoring first, that certainly helps their chances.
And give the ball to Vicious. That's the solution, I think, for University of Wyoming here. I think just came away with a tap there at the end, but still credited with their goal. Regardless, Wyoming, I don't think cares necessarily where it comes from. They've got the lead now, and that's what's important to them. Gill gonna try and cut that in half. Nice centering pass picked up by Lions, just a little bit wide of the net.
Boise State looking like they don't even care that they're down a goal right now. They immediately get back to work, get their heads down, get focused, and piece together what was very nearly a stylish passing play to tie things up. But instead, they control the ball through the corner. They get Gill an opportunity to move forward, but they'll play patiently, and they're still beaten by Aparo. So good transition by Wyoming, though. Hoosh will be able to clear the zone, not even steal some boost. All right, Wyoming's playing pretty well in the micro game at the moment, but they can't be allowing opportunities like they have been thus far.
No, they certainly can't. There was one right there. Lions just barely misjudges the ball, unable to redirect it into the goal there. Gill coming away with a nice possession here, drops it in front of the net, blocks his own teammate from scoring. Unfortunate there for Boise State, and now Vicious again strikes with the ball.
That Vicious turned their Octane into a launch pad. They had some sort of spring action coming off of their hood there. What a monstrous flick to beat Hoosh, who was actually in a decent spot to defend against anything other than a 200-mile-per-hour shot off of an incredible flick. That's perfect. And now 2-goal lead could be 3 if Wyoming keeps up this.
Oh, but Hoosh potentially with a breakaway here, drops it off to the side. Nice defensive play again from Wyoming. Now Gill with an aerial dribble, drops it down. Beautiful pass to Lions.
It's just so tough to defend against this. I don't know how many times I can say that for Wyoming, but they have to somehow predict that Gill is going to be hitting that to Lions with pinpoint accuracy and get out and either challenge Gill at the ceiling or challenge Lions on the ground. There was neither right there. They were both stagnant on the goal line, and Wyoming looking like they might concede another 2-goal lead or maybe add back to it 3-1. Nice play.
Unicorn showing off here. A beautiful play to just drive the ball into goal. Gets 3 taps in the air on it, and no way Boise State was able to predict where that was going.
All right, well, I was wrong, and I will admit that. I thought Boise State was going to nullify another 2-goal lead. Instead, it's another 2-goal lead they have to nullify, and 3-1. Plenty of time left to do it, especially with plays like that, inches coming to fruition.
Yeah, Gil was just a little bit ahead of the ball that time around and drops the ball in front of the goal. Gil goes up for it again, able to deflect the player, but not the ball. Ball still finding itself in front of the Wyoming goal. Goes for the double tap, but just unable to get it. Gil, though, lasers it in, bounces it off the crossbar, and cuts the lead to 1.
It's almost inevitable at this point that Gil is going to hit a shot like that when they are given a shooting lane with that much space in between the ball and the nearest defender. Gil places that perfectly, as always, and Wyoming has their 2-goal lead cut down to 1, and I start to get nervous for them once again.
Yeah, because Boise State has shown themselves to be able to fight back from a losing position several times tonight. Mostly here in this Wyoming game. Beautiful block there from Hoosh. I wasn't sure they were going to be able to get there in time. Lions has to drop back for another one. Able to clear it, and a nice continuation of that coming out from Hoosh. But Aparo picks it up above the goal and prevents the pass from being centered. And now they've got another breakaway opportunity, but Gil deflects it out of harm's way.
Gil's rotation back defense is so good. They know exactly when to cut rotation and hit a play from behind, but that was a nice shot from Wyoming, denied by Hoosh, and we'll see if Wyoming can build upon that. Looking like no, though. Unicorn will take it away from Boise State, and Hoosh will do the same to Wyoming. That net open. Lions for the tap-in.
Oh, yeah, what a beautiful clear by Hoosh. He turned on a dime to be able to get that ball right in the middle and knock it into just a beautiful spot where Lions was able to follow it up with ease and just gently nudge it into the net to even the score at 3 apiece.
Very difficult to read a play like that if you're Wyoming, because you're not expecting Lions to be down the field like that. But that's just how Boise plays. Their aggressive style of rotation. It's a sweat fest to deal with. Lions wanted the lead. Vicious finds the save, and will be down the field to put a shot on. That net looking open. Gil's off the ceiling. Don't know what he's doing when he makes the touch.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was were some aerial acrobatics right there to be able to get back and block that shot. Hoosh driving up the ceiling as well, trying to meet Unicorn, but Gil able to take it away instead. Hoosh now with not a whole lot of speed meets the ball in the air, but unable to complete a pass to anywhere useful for Boise State. That one going straight to Vicious, which is not where you want it to be if you are Boise State. But Vicious loses control of it now. Aparo trying to keep the pressure on once again, but Gil finds an opening, passes it off the backboard. Hoosh is there to follow up, but there's not a whole lot of kick behind that ball, and Vicious gets it with ease.
50-50 taken, Aparo and Hoosh together. That's a clever demo from Unicorn. We'll see what effect it brings. Not much as Gil returns fire, dunks Gil? Vicious, puts BSU in the lead. Gil continues to astound me.
That was absolutely ridiculous. All 3 players are there, yet Gil still finds a way to come away with the ball and in one hit knocks it into the net.
Boise State will not be denied anything. They will put up their 5th out of 6 games where they score 4+ goals. And they do it in this game with a couple of pre-jumps as well. There's another Lions and Hoosh double commit as Hoosh was coming off the ceiling. Gil misses the ball completely. It's potentially an opening here for Wyoming, but this transition going to slow down as Aparo lost control.
Hoosh trying to drop back for it as well and just having a little bit of trouble. Now the ball centered once again. Lions with a beautiful save. Can they follow it up? Aparo scores!
The offensive Wyoming taking advantage of some lackluster positioning out of Boise State. Well done. And in the final 30 seconds, no less. That's a big tie game here. Wyoming can exercise some demons now if they take this 4-4 tie game and avenge their Game 1 loss.
30 seconds left to go here in regulation. Both teams vying to try and finish it off before we get to that sudden death position. Gil with the ball now. Drives it up the wall, but Aparo intercepts. Nobody back there just yet. Lions is chasing it back, though. Less than 10 seconds to go in regulation here. Ball is cleared beautifully by Hoosh. It's going to slow things down tremendously. Can they come away with one more before things end? They're going to try to, but it's not going to come to fruition. We are in OT here, Mr. Bepic.
Yes, we are. Same scoreline as game one. An outpouring of goals here in game number 3. Must win for Wyoming if they are going to have a hope of taking down Boise State University. But Boise has looked so good in this game. Passing plays like this, the big reason why. Off the back wall, in for the finish as Lions beaten. And that should be game number 3 stolen by Wyoming.
Wyoming with the upset at the last moment possible, taking a game off of Boise State 5-4, and it's Vicious, no less, who knocks in the winning goal.
Wyoming actually outshot Boise State in that game, 13-12. Their offense was able to do a lot more with the possession that they were granted, which was the biggest talking point between you and I after game 2, with just 3 shots put up by Wyoming. And I think it's safe to say that they improved. They stepped up just a little bit when it came to tangible productivity.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I think Boise got a little ahead of themselves in that last game. I mean, everybody, I think, was posted a little too far forward. They were trying to end it, I think, off the kickoff like we've seen them do so many times. But that just left them vulnerable in the end, and Wyoming took advantage of it beautifully.
Bit of positive tilt, perhaps, on the Boise State side. We saw several pre-jumps there at the end of game number 3. So not frustration hurting them like negative tilt, but perhaps overconfidence hurting them just a touch. We'll see in game 4 if they sit up just a little bit more and rotate a bit more viciously, as we've seen a lot of in the last couple of series of Boise State. But that's coming up next. I'm interested now to see what Boise State does after a loss.
Yeah, exactly. Although, again, this team, no stranger to competition, no stranger to high-stakes situations as well. So I'm anticipating their mental is going to be pretty solid moving into this game. But you never know. 5 straight games without a loss, just to drop it on the 6th here. But absolutely capable of bringing it back. Wyoming, though, hoping to make for the reverse sweep here. They've got an early opening, but Hoosh finds the ball back in Boise's backfield in that corner. Ball goes across in front of the net, but nobody there to follow it up, save for Gill, who's unable to get control of it, though they do get the demo back in deep in the other field.
Boise State getting creative. Hoosh placing that ball perfectly. This time around it'll be Boise State scoring first in an important game 4, looking to regain quickly.
That they are. Who's just barely beating out Vicious for that aerial contest right there, and able to find a beautiful angle on the ball. Nothing Wyoming could do after that shot was loose. But now, kickoff once again. Gonna get the ball to Hoosh back in Boise State side of the pitch once again. Misjudged there by Wyoming. A lot of pressure being put on the goal now by Boise State, but the defense is solid from Wyoming this time around.
Ooh, Vicious second touch. Oh, if they beat Hoosh right there, it's likely a goal, but instead, Gill, no Lions, no Gill, neither. Okay, I was expecting a shot there from Boise State, but maybe miscommunication, maybe just misdirection. Either way, it's a shot from Vicious, saved somehow by Gill.
Gill just dropping in at the last moment to keep that ball.
Oh, dear.
From going in, that is unfortunate there. Big misplay coming out from Wyoming. 2 players just misjudged the ball in the air.
Vicious and Aparo. Vicious goes up, undercuts it, and Aparo, I think the same. That, not good. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a feels bad for Wyoming right there. But they have the last game to build off of to try and keep some of that momentum. But right now, Boise is once again putting the pressure on in a big way. Here comes Hoosh, but it's going to be cleared relatively easily again by the Wyoming squad.
The passing plays, all 3 members linking up. Hoosh, maybe a double. Not quite, almost got the contact they needed, but undercut the ball just a little bit too much. And Unicorn on the other side of things wanted a shot on that transition play, won't get it. Instead, Boise State with more possession to add to their already staunch tally through the first minute 40 of game 4.
It's going to be Gill now with an opportunity. Looks for a double tap, not going to find it. Lions, though, is there for the follow-up to make it 3-0.
Speed check on this one, 26 miles per hour. I don't know how that's possible. Looked like it took a huge skip off of Vicious's car, but you know,
Yeah.
Rocket League, they add stats when they please. They add numbers next to the gold speed statistic when they please. Boise State, though, 3 goals. We know that for certain, and that's a pretty difficult margin to come back from, but you know, plenty of time.
Absolutely, especially when Wyoming has been scoring so prolifically this matchup. I mean, they've scored 4 goals, I think, in each game so far as Wyoming. Maybe just 3.
The one off in game 2. They just had 1 in game 2, but 4 in the other 2. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But still, very, very high scoring team here from Wyoming. So absolutely capable of turning this thing around, especially when, again, Vicious gets the ball, but unable to keep possession of it. There. It's going to be Hoosh now trying to wrest control from Wyoming once again. It's Gil who's able to do it. Lions now with a pass up to Gil. Can he get the redirect in? It's going to be Unicorn who's able to keep the ball out of harm's way this time for Wyoming.
Center ball. Actually intercepted by Vicious, who is the player you just talked about. Get it into the hands of Vicious, though it's Unicorn that drops the ball into the blue box perfectly. Wow. And if Apero's playing aggressively, trying to finish it off. Gil, redirection, no good. Ball still on net, but Apero back in time for the block. Unicorn puts it back center for Lions, and that is a bit of a defensive blunder that makes it 4-0 Boise.
And a great read coming out from Lions as well. I mean, they came all the way from downfield to knock that one in. So kudos to them for seeing that, for the rotations being there the way they needed. And Boise with their biggest lead now, I think, in any of the series we've seen so far. So Wyoming, this is unfortunate for them. We need to see a big adjustment coming in. And right now, that was another huge opportunity for Boise, but unable to just capitalize on it.
And they don't need more opportunities. It's Wyoming that needs the lion's share of the opportunities. And that is not the case, though. Demo onto 1, not so much onto Gil. And actually, Hoosh was the one that got the demo. More insult to injury for Wyoming being taken out when I thought they should have got the demo. But that's just me. My angle was a little bit off. But they need a clear, honestly. It doesn't matter demos, however they do it. They need a clear. They've got it. How can they do something with it? Under 90 seconds to score 4.
Yeah, this is looking tougher and tougher for Wyoming. Hoosh has the ball, but a nice contest there from Unicorn. Going to be able to center it for a pass, but a beautiful block there from Gil. There just about at the exact same time as the offensive player from Wyoming. That's going to be a pass off the backboard again. But this time it ends up in Boise's hands, at least for the moment. Nice read on that from Apero. Are they going to get the double tap? They were just a little too low for it.
Gil runs out of boost. Vicious takes the ball away. Lions is downfield nabbing boost. It's a 2v2 in the blue end, but Apero just plugs the ball into the corner, and Boise State will be able to deal with that fairly easily. And this feels reminiscent of the closeout game of the last series, where Boise State won by a 4-goal margin. And if this holds, they will be here as well. Maybe 5, perhaps, with balls like that going on target. Either way, Wyoming on the wrong side of the scoreboard here in the 4th game of this series.
Yeah, with only less than 20 seconds left to go, this is all but officially over. Hoosh just keeping the ball clogged up on Wyoming's side of the pitch. Lions trying to make it, like you said, a 5-goal game here, but might not be the case this time around. But regardless, it is going to be Boise State coming away with a victory, this time 3-1, as Wyoming showed up in force tonight.
They did. I mean, games 1 and 3 were absolutely phenomenal, and game 2 was also still pretty great, even though they lost by 2, forcing Boise State into 2 sweaty overtimes. Very, very nicely done out of Wyoming. They should not be bowing their heads whatsoever. They should keep them held high because, like we've been talking about at length tonight, Juggle God, Boise State is a pretty good roster that is very difficult to beat.
That they are, and they proved impossible tonight, at least overall. Wyoming was able to take 1 game off them, and again, I want to draw attention just really briefly to some of those stats from the last game, because Wyoming outshot Boise 2-1. They had twice the number of shots on goal, but again, Boise just finds these quality opportunities, or rather generates these quality opportunities that just leads to so much success.
That's so impressive. 7 games played and only 1 where they didn't score 4 goals or more. Impressive stuff out of Boise State tonight. We're going to have a quick break before we see someone from the Boise State organization joining us in the booth. We'll see who it is on the other side of this. Don't go anywhere.
skills and their hand-eye coordination while they're home. Hand-eye coordination, if you're a football player, massive skill. So it helps build those things while they're off the field. And then for us, vice versa, if you're an esports athlete, one of the errors I had growing up when I was competing in esports is that I was not active enough. I played sports, I competed a little bit, but I wasn't active enough truly when I look at it. So that's one area that esports players can learn from in terms of activity and physical and the marrying of both. People say, oh, sports and esports, video games. Not really. We're just kind of the tech industry's competitive form of competition, as to where traditional sports are more physical, hands-on. So I believe in the marrying of these two sectors and that they actually live together while also being counterparts.
I think then to speak to something about marrying, right, from traditional to esports, that to me speaks to this whole new thing. At least again from you guys, right? You guys have more traditional sports background, right? Paul, Lee, Mike, and all of that. But I think let's talk NIL then, because I think that's something that I think is really interesting. That at least when I heard about it, right, of what we're trying to do with esports athletes, schools, programs in general. Because it wasn't something you would think normally, right? You could understand, right? Football player on the field, star quarterback. It makes sense, right? The guy is somebody that everybody knows on campus, whether you're on the team, off the team, or you're just going to the school. It makes sense. But I think, nowadays it's not as common, or people don't think that they could be somebody that their name is out there, right? Or that they're known, right? As we're growing the space, as we're putting this together, it almost feels really interesting that, your star entry in Valorant, or your star forward on Rocket League, right? Whatever the case might be, now they can have NIL deals. It's a thing out there, and I think, I don't know, maybe Mike, you want to start off, but
I think thank you for teeing that up. So I was talking for too long. I forgot to bring NIL into the mix. So it's a common occurrence, occupational hazard. So I would say that so NIL for I'm sure most of you watching understand what it is, but NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness, that term has been utilized to describe the transition of traditional student athletes, NCAA athletes, and their ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness. It went live July 1st, 2021, and it has continued over the course of the last nearly 14 months now. It's an interesting term because it's been co-opted to describe the NCAA's approach to student athletes being able to make endorsement money or be able to monetize any part of their name, image, and likeness. But it's been around forever, right? We've had athletes endorsing brands for over 100 years. Babe Ruth of the New York Yankees was endorsing brands 100 years ago, and it has continued onward from baseball cards all the way through now, where we have lots of different integrations of how influencers can monetize their followings. So what I would say on the traditional side is it's still a very young space. There are a lot of stories out there regarding NIL that tend to focus on the negative, or how out of control, I put in air quotes, it has gotten. But there is still a burgeoning marketplace for many more student athletes that are involved. About 17% of NCAA athletes are currently involved in NIL, but 65% more than that want to get involved and are curious how to get started. On the flip side, brands are challenged with a few different things in the space. There are 10,000 professional athletes in the United States. Once July 1st, 2021 hit, and you dump every NCAA athlete into that space, that's another 500,000. So brands that maybe didn't have a dedicated athlete strategy when there were 10,000 now have 500,000 plus that 10,000 to figure out how to activate who they are. That's a lot. I understand brands' hesitancy in some instances, but I can tell you that companies like us are on a daily basis educating brands and student athletes as to the software you can use, the types of activations you can get involved in, and how to utilize your followings, or if you don't have to or want to be a social media star, are there ways in which you can monetize it? Now, I know I described that under the umbrella of the NCAA, but I see it as being no different in esports. I think there are massive opportunities for people with followings to be able to use that and connect with brands. I think a company like us can help you to do that. And then beyond that, we can make sure that those transactions are safe for you. I think there are opportunities, not just at the individual competitor level, but at the program level to have a sponsorship go to that. I'm sure some of you out there listening and watching already have deals like that in place, but I think we can continue to enhance, augment those deals and make them more.
Welcome back to Esports U's coverage of Mountain West Rocket League. In the booth with me, I have the head coach of esports at Boise State University, Mr. Doc Haskell. How are you doing tonight?
Mr. Bepic, Juggle, good to see you. Great to be here.
Thank you. Great to see you as well. And what a facility you have behind you. I've heard. I've heard about it. But this is my first time getting to really see it. Tell me a little bit about your facility at Boise State, because it's exceptional from everything I've heard.
You bet. It's a 6,200 square foot space. Right now we're set up with about 64 machines and lots of consoles. It's a spectator arena, so that we can actually have people back there in theater seats, and even up here on the stage with us. People playing some Mario Kart, and of course, I'm actually up on our broadcast desk where the lighting is good, because we do. You may have heard we do some broadcasting from time to time.
I know, I have indeed. Now, a very, very prominent program is Boise State. Tell me, if you were to pick one thing, and this is going to be tough and maybe not fair, but if you were able to pick one thing that's unique about Boise State that makes it stand out to you, what is that?
Honestly, we're kind of in a strange little spot in the world. We borrow from an athletic tradition of being the kid brother, right? Boise State's a mid-major with blue turf, and by the way, we have blue turf on our stage, or actually player stage back there too.
Of course,
because it's the law. But the idea that everybody will always talk about a Maryville or a Northwood, or and we recruit a very specific kind of individual, good people, hardworking, with maybe a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. So if that's going to make us unique, then we'll take that.
And that's fantastic. I love it. Love to hear it. And tell me, what is in store for the future of Boise State esports as well? What's coming up that you're particularly looking forward to, or maybe the students are looking forward to?
Well, we've been expanding into the space that we're in now for quite a while. Up next for us is a ESPN style studio, cameras on the floor setup. We're close to design approvals on some of those pieces. Also down in this facility for our students, an actual exercise and workout room with free weights and cardio. And we've been using it for a little while, but it's going to get a big G Fuel rebrand here soon. An actual fueling station. So our varsity players are coming in from a day of classes, and they're coming in as, and be able to grab snacks and drinks and shakes and things like that before they come in for practice and things like that. We're trying to elevate it to essentially, football, basketball level facilities here to attract the best and the brightest. And we have them. You got to see some of them at their best tonight.
Yeah, we absolutely did. Bepic, go ahead.
Well, I'm curious. You just mentioned the players, the best and the brightest that we got to see on the pitch tonight. I want to know, how much do they lead things as a team? Is it them coaching each other, or is it more of the staff helping them just be the best players they can be?
So when you recruit, and let me be completely clear, Wyoming, what a great program. Pat Moran, who's their director of recreation over there, opening I'm basically repurposing a beautiful space in their student union. They'll start with a dozen PCs in there and four complete console stations, projection, and it's going to be amazing. They haven't opened it yet, but we know that they are. Wow. Everybody in the Mountain West starting to pick up these facilities because when you talk about just people, right? We do our best to recruit people that we know we're going to spend a lot of time with. There are a lot of great players that are kind of interested in collegiate esports, but we are interested in top players that want to get a degree. and we know we're going to be connected for a lifetime with those amazing people. And we want to make sure that they get a degree while they're here. Did I completely dodge your question like a good politician?
Well, yeah, you did. That was perfect dodging, because that was a phenomenal answer. Because I'm just enthralled every time you talk about your program and what you're doing to build it up. It's great to see people like you and everyone involved at your program helping esports grow, because I think we've all watched it start at the very beginnings of where it was several years ago now to get to the point where collegiate programs have full facilities like the one behind you. It's absolutely beautiful, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us in the booth, because you gave us some phenomenal insight into what you're doing over there at Boise State. So thank you.
And for real, this is not a hollow compliment. The work that they're doing to promote these amazing students at Nevada, at San Jose, at Wyoming, schools in the Mountain West is really amazing work. You're bringing a spotlight to these wonderful schools that we've known and competed against for 5 years, and we just could not be more thankful. Glued to every broadcast you do. We love it.
Much appreciated. Well, we'll let you go enjoy the two victories that Boise State gained tonight. So have a great evening, guys.
Thanks a lot. Go Broncos.
All right, go Broncos indeed. That'll do it here tonight on the Esports U broadcast. A great showing out of Boise State, Wyoming, and the University of Nevada, Reno. Jugglad, I appreciate you joining me in the booth. I've been Mr. Bepic, and a big thanks to everyone in the background putting this show on, Coltoon especially, our producer tonight. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, for CECC, the Southern Regional, happening. So a lot more to come on the Esports U channel. For tonight, though, we say goodnight. Have a great evening.
Paulie, thoughts on that?
Yeah, what you said is right. So I'll put it in for layman's terms here for just the esports players, because I talked to so many of our athletes that compete in our CECC series that are currently still in college. And basically when Mike Blewett says NIL, what he's referring to is just very simple. If a brand or any sort of anyone wants to use your school's name or your brand or anything with you, there is a deal for you that can be put in place, whether it's product deal, whether it's a paid endorsement. You can, whether you're a macro influencer or whether you're a micro influencer, you can be paid for your services. So most of the people, when I talk to them, I won't say people, college athletes, they are, intimidated by the word. They don't really know what it means. They've never done anything with it before. And that's what it means. Any single time a brand or anyone at all wants to use your name or do a deal with you or do some sort of activation with you or your school, that's basically what the layman's terms, the NIL meaning comes from. And it's evolving in this space. There are so many brands that want to associate with micro and macro influencers and just get people involved with their products or their services. So all of you, collegiate athletes out there that are competing in esports, not only are we trying to broker those deals, but also keep your eyes, ears open, and don't be shy or scared to take these deals, because that's what I've heard the most, is that most of the time they're just scared to take them. They don't know what they are. They don't know if they're locking themselves into some agreement or terms that they're like going to give their name away or something too. So this is a really important space, and it's how you're all going to physically make money and build your brands along with company brands. So it's really important to learn, and my advice is to just get your feet wet. Don't worry about shying away. Read the contracts and take some of these deals, because growing your own brand is the future of what our industry is going to be, in my opinion.
Exactly, and if you follow in the pro space, you'll see that the pro teams are not only focusing on competitive play, but a lot of them are focusing on their brand and their cultural importance in the space. And so, one of the things that we do also is help athletes build their brand, build their following. And that's part of what Paulie and Kyler are doing on their side when we do this behind the scenes training. And so, building your brand, this is the creator economy. Anybody and everybody can be anything they want to be. And so we just really want to be the conduit that supports that across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. With that said, thank you everyone for, I think, great insights in terms of, for any of you that were watching this and maybe had questions about, what is Esports U? What is CSMG? Who are they? What are they doing? What are our plans? Right? Well, we know we kind of tried to make a bigger splash in the spring, and we're excited to bring more stuff with you guys for the next year. But I think maybe as we close out here, I know we're slowly approaching on time then, but maybe let's go around the room with everyone here of just what's one thing that we're all excited for this next upcoming year. I know we touched on our plans and a lot of things, but if anyone had to speak, if you had to speak to just one thing of just what has you excited for us as a company, for us as the collegiate or college esports space, right? What's one thing that has all of you guys excited? And maybe we'll start with Mike, since our traditional sports guy, and we'll let Mike speak first.
Sure. So I would say many things on the traditional side, but I'll focus on esports. And I'd say the thing that I'm most excited about going forward is after yet another year of us doing a round of events, I'm excited that more schools will understand exactly what we're doing with our regional events and culminating in CECC and getting more schools involved. I think schools will be more excited to compete in our events because we've established it over the course of a year, and I welcome any and all conversations with getting people involved.
I think for me, I'm most excited about like the schools and conferences, Mike. That's amazing. And that's so exciting. I'm also excited about the brands that we're starting to be able to get involved in this. In our Commissioner's Cup in last May, we had over 14 brands, blue chip brands participating in our event. Barbasol, Microsoft, CDW, Morgan Stanley, New Street, Air Force. And so I think brands are really starting to get excited about being involved in college esports, and we're offering them a platform that not only gives them, a big event, a big yearly event, but also regular daily programming where they can have exposure in front of this audience that they want to build affinity for with their brand. So I'm super excited about seeing the brands get on board and help grow the space along with us. A rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's probably one of our mottos here at CSMG and Esports U. We're growing our brand, but at the same time, we're also really growing the college esports space as a whole. And that's our goal, for it to be a healthy ecosystem for all parties involved.
Yeah, I agree there. And I guess for me, obviously always, seeing the collegiate esports space elevate, coming from competing, this didn't exist when I was competing, and just to see it now in literally within the last 5 years, probably really come to fruition and start just blossomed out of nowhere, and now becoming a space and seeing everyone, schools, players, productions, companies all elevate together has been really, really nice to see. But if I was the most excited for one thing, it would probably be the city where we're going to land for CC23. I'm really excited to know where we're going to be. There's a lot of great cities. I mean, I personally would love for it to come to New York, despite whether we got a positive bid or not. I want it to come to New York, but I just think the atmosphere in New York when you throw an event here is just super magical, especially in the summertime. But either way, I'm really excited to see where it lands. Tons of great cities, tons of great opportunities, and yeah, who knows? And I think that's going to be the most exciting process for me.
Absolutely. I won't speak to anything. I think I'm filling Paulie's job on this one because Paulie's more a panelist than this one. So, normally Paulie's the host, and I don't know. I think me personally, I'll just say something real quick. I'm just excited to keep telling your stories. If you're a student, if you're a program, let me know. Let us, reach out to us. We just ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to tell your story. And I think that's what has me most excited, because now I think we're getting to a point where people know us. I hope you guys trust us, and and we just want to keep expanding and growing the space. So with that, Paulie, I won't make you do the weird thing where you got to toss to yourself, unless you want to do that. I don't know. Actually, you might have a way of doing this. All right. Let's test it. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
how do you want to throw to yourself here?
Well, that's going to conclude here the future of collegiate with CSMG and Esports U. Thank you so much to Angela, Mike Blewett, and Kyler Tandle for hosting our panel. And now back to myself for the day 3 of the CSMG Coaches and Director Summit 2022.
My name's Jacob. I'm 21 and it's my first year in this school. I already been to community college for the last 2 years, but I transferred here. It's a whole new program.
What made you transfer?
I wanted to do something different. I already have an associate's degree in business administration, and I wanted to come to this school and do audio production, just like music engineering stuff.
So what do you want to do with that?
The main goal is to work in like music studios and like help with like the music creation process. Anywhere kind of in the audio recording realm is fine with me.
And do you have a go-to genre of music that you like?
I don't know. It's all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah, no judgment.
It's all
I was
over,
just
it's all
wondering.
over the place.
So how do you like the program that you're in now?